one time? Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the start. I don't.
Folks, Jeff S, aka TrueKnowledge, if you can hear me. Obviously, I'm having some video delays and effects here, so enjoy the shit show here while I'm fucking in frozen mode and all that shit. But this is the MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. I, of course, am Jeff S, aka TrueKnowledge. I'm the co-host of the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. I'm moderating this evening's Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers movie review with drinking games, live stream review. I'm the guest panel this evening, my co-host Cyberneticshark, joining Matthew from Board to Watch, a movie review podcast. Is it a movie review or a movie podcast, Matthew?
Movie podcast.
Movie podcast. Dungeon Master, Rick, from Mama, as I like to call them, reviews over at Middle Age Movie Reviews. What's up, Rick?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Ryan, with us again. It's been, I think, what, Ryan, like a month or two?
Yeah, it's been a little bit. When we had Street Fighter
Ryan,
last time.
That's right. Ryan is making his third appearance on the panel with the Bleeding Edge. Back with us again for another Lord of the Rings. Aston, what's up, brother?
Hey, glad to be here. Shout out to everybody on the internet checking us out. Salute to everybody on the MCU. Salute to Cyber General. The generals are here with us, man. Let's do this. Let's get it in.
Yeah, let's get it in, baby. I say that all the time. What's up, Dom? That's actually one of my mottos. Right, Matthew? Matthew knows.
Yeah, let's not start the podcast with that yet.
Nah, we'll get into that later when we talk about the Hobbit ladies, like last time on your review. The Hobbit.
Yeah, this is where Jeff's foot fetish really comes to fruition.
Yeah, it's like some House of the Dragon shit. I'm like Clubfoot. Clubfoot is Lord of the Rings with the Hobbits. So the Lord of the Rings came out in 2002, but because of its release date in December, it was held off for the Oscars and all the award ceremonies for 2023, or excuse me, for 2003. But looking at I found 2002 to be an interesting year for film, and I thought I'd start the show off just with you guys' general thoughts on the list of the 100 films of the year, the big films of 2002. The Lord of the Rings, by fan vote, is considered the Two Towers is considered the best film of the year. After Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire that came out that year, The Bourne Identity, Catch Me If You Can, 28 Days Later, Lilo and Stitch, classic, Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets, Ice Age, classic, Minority Report, classic, Gangs of New York, which we reviewed before, The Ring, Panic Room, Signs, dope-ass movie, Road to Perdition, The Pianist, which I think was supposed to be Tom Hanks's like big, crescendo film at that point that didn't really come together, unfortunately. Insomnia, City of God, 8 Mile, that was pretty good in the theater. The Santa Claus 2, I didn't see that. I'm sure Cyber did. Red Dragon, Blade 2, Phone Booth, Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. I know, Aston, you saw that. Super Troopers, 1 Hour Photo, The Count of Monte Cristo, Hero, The Rookie, Treasure Planet, Resident Evil, classic, Mila Jovovich, Austin Powers Goldmember, The Transporter, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Equilibrium, interesting movie with Christian Bale, Adaptation, Reign of Fire, Christian Bale, Unfaithful with Richard Gere, I watched that. About a Boy, Chicago, A Walk to Remember, that was a classic. We Were Soldiers, classic, Mel Gibson. Men in Black 2, The Sum of All Fears, The Mothman Prophecies, John Q, Sweet Home Alabama, Mr. Deeds, 25th Hour, About Schmidt. That's the top 50 right there. So going off to you, Cyber, first. 2002 for you, I'm sure I left some stuff out. What were your movie highlights for 2002 besides The Two Towers?
Phone Booth was one of them. I absolutely love Phone Booth. That's like one of my all-time favorite thrillers. Kiefer Sutherland as the bad guy is great. His voice is perfect for being that guy on the phone that you don't see throughout the entire film, and then you get a very last glimpse of him at the end, which was really great. And 2002 was a huge year for movies. I mean, as you were just going through, and there were so many great films that year. Catch Me If You Can, which was a really great film. The Pianist was not a Tom Hanks film. That was based on a true story and was what's his name?
Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody.
I was talking about Road to Perdition.
Oh. Well, anyways, The Pianist is Adrian Brody, yes. Road to Perdition was okay. I wouldn't say that was a huge highlight of 2002, but I forgot how many movies came out in 2002 and how many times I was at the theaters that year seeing films. We Were Soldiers was fantastic. Absolutely loved that film. Freaking Mel Gibson was fantastic in that. Another one that's, war-based film that was really well done. Between that and Two Towers, like Two Towers was such a great film that year. But there was just so many films to talk about during that year that were just so fun. I mean, Star Wars Episode 2, as you mentioned, Reign of Fire, Equilibrium, all those films were all just really fun. I enjoyed. There was a lot of great films that year I enjoyed. So it's hard to talk about just one because there was just so many great films that came out in that single year that during that time frame, that's when they still really made really good. They had really good writing. They had, a good slew of actors, taking the lead in films. And you just had a really good quality of films during that time period too. Even though it was the beginning really of the CGI era, the early 2000s were, really the heyday of CGI. And, even though we had CGI back, as early as 86 or 85, I should say, with Young Sherlock Holmes, which was actually considered the very first film to have CGI in it at the time, with the glass knight, that scene, that was all CGI. That was the very first fully CGI character. Still the early 2000s, I feel, was kind of when they were trying to get all the kinks out to really bring to life CGI even more and more. So, 2002 was a really great year for films, and it's hard to just pinpoint the real highlights of that year because there was just so many great films. But I have to say, overall, I think 2002 was a really great year for films.
Queen of the Damned, Die Another Day. It was, I think that was Brosnan's last Bond film. Jackass, the movie, came out that year. Secretary, with James Spader and Maggie Gyllenhaal. Enough with J-Lo. I like that movie. That was pretty decent. Collateral Damage with Arnie. Orange County, The Importance of Being Earnest, Ghost Ship, White Oleander, The Sweetest Thing. Matthew, more to watch. Thoughts on films of 2002, sir?
Yeah, look, it's a banger year. There's no doubt. It's actually got a couple of my all-time favourite cinema experiences. The Ring, seeing The Ring in the cinema, in a full-pack cinema, and watching people absolutely shit their pants was a highlight. That was great. There's also some really good guilty pleasures. Like you've already mentioned, Ghost Ship. Like, it's a horrendous movie, but it just seems to be a movie that I go back to every couple of years and sort of watch it and just sort of have a good laugh. And it's one of those so bad it's good. But there's 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams. There's some one of my all time guilty pleasures, Eight-Legged Freaks. With the spiders, which is Dawn of the Dead with spiders. It was a funny year because you obviously had very, very top heavy with Spider-Man and Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. And it was really the start of that super franchise where it really started to kick off, and also some really huge disappointments, like Attack of the Clones was just an absolute steaming pile of shit. And it just, as much as I love Star Wars, everyone knows that I'm a Star Wars guy. And I saw that at a midnight screening and just walked out, thinking I'd watched a video game, and it was just, obviously they sort of changed things a little bit with Revenge of the Sith and sort of I guess, made us all feel a little bit better from what we were served up with episode 1 and episode 2. But, you know, like Die Another Day, the surfing scene in Die Another Day, like we get such a highlight with Halle Berry coming out of the water, and then we're dealt with the ice surfing scene, which actually probably killed Bond for like a decade until Casino Royale. So look, it's an interesting year. Some great movies, Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can. Cracking year, but also some pretty big disappointments in there as well. But yeah, overall, pretty good.
Minority Report was a solid movie. Ryan, what are your highlights?
Oh man, just talking about midnight premieres. I think I've been to a midnight premiere in God knows how long. I think I haven't been able to find a theater that does a midnight premiere. So that definitely made the year great. Reign of Fire was a surprise hit. I hated Christian Bale in that movie, but Matthew McConaughey, I did not think he was going to be a good action star. That was extremely surprising to see that role come out of him. Same thing with Red Dragon. Edward Norton Jr. He did such a good job as this prequel to Hannibal and how you kind of saw it led up. But definitely, I mean, Blade 2, I just try to forget about that happening. That was bad. That was so bad from that first one, that blood rave scene. And then we go to, was it Daryl Dixon and that whole nonsense? But Spider-Man and...
Was Red Dragon the one where Julianne Moore took over and played Starling's character?
It might have been. It's been a long time.
That was Hannibal. That was Hannibal.
That was Hannibal, yeah.
That was Hannibal. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I mean, 2002, he had such a hit. So many hits, just one after the next. And I think that's because a lot of people, they made movies that were actually new. They took new stories or tried to make something new, not just copying. And I think that's why we got such a great slew of films. And that's why you could see it in the list.
That's a really good point. You're right. As I'm going down the list here, everything is totally original. It really is. There's very few sequels. Obviously the Two Towers. But Aston, what were your highlights of 2002 in film?
Definitely Spider-Man was huge for me. Like when that came out, like I think I saw it twice in the theaters when it came out. Transporter was huge for me. I would say that was Colin Farrell's first big breakout year. Like because he had 3 movies in the top 60, if not that was his breakout year. I would say 2002 in my memory, what I could say is the beginning of the end of actual screenwriters who came up with original stuff, because already by 2006 I think it was one of the last good summers we had, because we had some big movies come out that summer and the cinema was still fun. And I mean, Transporter, like you said it yourself, I think, Jeff, it was the year of the franchises. Harry Potter was active, Star Wars was active. So if you were a moviegoer, you just couldn't miss. Every month you had one good movie, minimum, if not 2, 3, which were worth your money. So in my memory, 2002 it's a sweet spot, but I also feel it's the beginning of the end of the movie going experience, because by 2005-06 I was only going for movies I had to see. And Blade 2 was trash. I'm sorry, but the Man from Down Under, bang on, spot on, man. And the only good thing in that Bond movie was Halle Berry, but it was better in Swordfish. Just saying. Punch it out.
In 2002, I started off the year. It's still in college at High Point University, and I had a Hawaiian girlfriend from Jersey, from Ocean City, New Jersey, that was Hawaiian descent, mixed with Caucasian, mixed with white. She was smoking, dude, like a total nerd, I want to fuck type chick. And I met my ex-wife the same year, and she was fucking smoking hot too when I first met her. I won't lie. She still looks pretty damn good. But Rick, 2002, your highlights, sir.
Well, definitely a lot of the things that everyone has said, I would definitely echo. I don't know if really anyone hit The City of God. I really liked that one. That one was mind-blowing, man. It was, if you haven't seen it, it doesn't necessarily from the cover art or from even the description. You might look at it and be like, I really don't think that I'm interested in that kind of stuff. It was really a fascinating movie and something I think everyone probably should watch. Road to Perdition. Look, I live in the U.S. Midwest, and I'll just put it out there like this, man. There were some places that were some of the shots came from my neck of the woods. Okay, so Road to Perdition, that was maybe it's your cup of tea or maybe it's not, but it's definitely a really really cool movie. And I'm kind I'm into the whole Chicago gangster thing from the 30s. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. And the Count of Monte Cristo on a redone, updated kind of version. There are some older ones, black and white and stuff, and obviously you got it in print and stuff that you can read. But oh man, the story is so good. Whether you're gonna read it or you're gonna watch one of the versions, highly recommend that story. It's just too good to miss. Count of Monte Cristo, and obviously Born, man, Born started right. Born Identity, man. Ooh boy. But that's what I gotta say. Shout out Equilibrium.
Nice. Good call, Rick. All right. So, drinking games. We're all going to pick as a group on the drinking game words. I'm going to start off with you, Matthew, even though you're not participating. Give us a drinking word to start off. Matt, did I lose you?
He's on mute.
You're muted, Matt.
Sorry, I'm all over it. First time, long time. Frodo, because he's a whiny bitch.
Cyber, give me a word.
Sauron.
All right. Aston.
Smeagol.
Ryan.
Precious.
Oh,
Mean.
Rick.
Rohan.
Okay, I'll add ring or rings, plural. Along with any version of Dark Lord or Dark, Sauron, right? The Dark Lord or Dark in general. So the word dark.
Dang,
we'll
bro,
leave it
this
there.
could be tough, man.
Oh man, it's all good, baby. Let's do it. Let's let it rip. What's up, Dom? Get
All
after
right.
over there in the comment section. Blow it up. What up? Oh yeah, you're right. Dungeon Master wins the moniker of Bulwark on that round, without question. Very, very solid contribution by Dungeon Master. And he's a Dungeon Master too. We respect Dungeon Masters over here at the Bleeding Edge, baby. You know what I'm saying? Hold it down within the dungeon.
Yeah.
Aston, you got any chicks in the dungeon? One of them holes in the ground or something like that?
Oh man, don't get me started, man. One of my exes just
All
got
right.
an OnlyFans page, man. I want to put her in a dungeon, man.
Bro.
Maybe she'll put some content up with you in it, brother.
Yo, man, I want to cut. I want to slice, man. I don't mind.
You want a slice of that Pornhub, buddy? Okay. All right. So the drinking words then are a good list. Frodo, Sauron, going hardcore on this one. Big boy time. Smeagol, Precious, Rohan, Rings. Nice. The Dark Lord. That sounds like one of your associates to the dungeon there, Rick. What's up, Matt?
So just to be clear, because you've said that there's words like, if we say Gollum, is that the same as Smeagol? Or is what?
No.
No, it's different. Okay, good, good.
You're safe from Gollum.
Excellent.
All right. The drinking words are now on the street and they are enforced. So it's time to big boy it up. All right. The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. As I already mentioned, it comes out in 2002. December 18th was its release in the US. The film itself The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, of course, is based off of the novel from J.R.R. Tolkien. One who I want to go around real quick and just see who's read The Two Towers. Ryan, you said you read it?
I've read. It's been a long time, but yeah.
You read it? Cyber, you read The Two Towers?
Yes.
Okay. Aston?
Yeah, read it 1.5 times. I fell asleep through the second read through, man, a couple years back.
Rick?
Read about half of it.
Okay. Matthew?
Yes, 30 plus years ago, so I've forgotten most of it.
Yeah.
I live off the movies lore now.
I don't know if I'll ever pick it up and read it again myself, to be honest with you. It's a really long book. It's a slog. Good book, but it's a slog from what I can remember. And I haven't read it since I was a teenager.
So I've got
Back
this
then-
theory. I got this theory about reading books and watching movies. If you watch the movie, good luck trying to read the book afterwards.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
point.
true indeed. I tried to read Black Hawk Down because I heard it was based on the dude's novel. I just couldn't get through it, bro. It's like I just kept picturing Josh Hartnett and all that crap in it. It was just ruining it for me.
That's
Let
such
me
a
run
good-
down this cast list. So we got Elijah Wood, Ian McKellen, Viggo Mortensen, Sean Astin, Andy Serkis as Mr. Gollum himself. There you go, Matthew. Billy Boyd as Peregrine Took, Dominic Monaghan, John Rhys Davies as Gimli, Orlando Bloom. I'm already starting to get afraid when I go to talk because of the drinking game. You're already forgetting like what words are drinking words or not, and I'm getting afraid when I go to say names and stuff. I'm like, oh fuck. Bernard Hill in a outstanding performance as King of Rohan Theoden, Christopher Lee, Hugo Weaving, Miranda Otto, my girl, David Wenham, Brad Dourif, Carl Urban, killing it. Liv Tyler from The Boys, Kate Blanchett, not Liv Tyler, but Carl Urban, Sean Bean, Craig Parker, John Lee, Bruce Hopkins, John Bach, Nathaniel Lees as Yuglock, the leader of the band of Uruk-hai, who kidnapped Merry and Pippin. Yuglock. There you go. Anyways, Dungeon Master, you fuck with Yuglock over there. Is Yuglock hanging out in the dungeon too?
There's a lot of things that happen in the dungeon. You know what they say? What happens in the dungeon stays in the dungeon.
Good. You should stay in the dungeon. All right, good. So, the film itself, as we start off, The Rings of Power. Movie starts off with, I'll take forward for the team and get our first drink on the board, with Frodo in a dream state, reliving the events of the Fellowship of the R, the circular object. That is the major premise of the trilogy. While with, of course, Samwise Gamgee, as they're coming off of the first film, on their way essentially to Moria on their own. And they, as Mr. F wakes up from his dream, they realize and conversate about the fact that they're being followed, right? Through the hills of Emmon Mole. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So, one night, the creature, Mr. G, Gollum, wishing to retrieve his precious drink, the one R, the one circle object, attacks them. The hobbits capture them, but Mr. F, the Elijah Wood's character, understands the burden of the circular object and takes pity on the creature. Realizing they are in need of a guide, Mr. F persuades Gollum to lead them to the Black Gates of Mordor. First question. Go to you, Matthew. You've got the most time on the panel on the Bleeding Edge. So you get to start off the questions on this first round on the movie. What are your thoughts on that opening? The situation
I think
that we're in with Sam, Mr. F in the film, its intro.
I think the opening with the battle with reliving the Gandalf Balrog fight is excellent. I think it is some of the best effects almost ever. It's when they're falling down into the water, and when it does the big wide shot, and all you can see is the water at the bottom, and you can see the opening, and the colors start to change as the Balrogs. It's just an incredible shot. I think it's such a good start, and you start to then question as to, because obviously it leaves it on if you haven't read the book, and you're left hanging as to whether Gandalf is alive or dead. So it sort of does seem somewhat answer that question that yes, he's alive, but is he really alive as he's fighting the Balrog? And then obviously Blue Eyes Elijah Wood wakes up and then starts to brood, the starting of the brooding, which will continue for the next 4 hours or 8 hours of the rest of the trilogy, which is just a broodathon from Elijah Wood himself. He has one facial look for the next 2 movies, one which is somewhere perplexed in that he could be holding back a shit. He's about to shit his pants, and he's contemplating when he thinks is the next opportunity that he might be able to find somewhere to take a shit in peace. And it's just that look of panic, but he doesn't really quite know. So we get introduced to that straight up front. I think it's great. We get introduced to Gollum. We know the position that he's going to play. And we also then find out that and what plays out for the next 2 movies is that it doesn't matter what Sam says, that he's going to be ignored. So, which is frustrating because he's the one guy that we knew from the first movie. He's the guy that you can trust. And again, straight away, Elijah is taking the stranger's side because he thinks that he can get him to what he needs the easier way. And so this plays out already, and you're like 6 minutes into the movie. You've had one of the greatest scenes in the battle with the Balrog, and you know what we're going to have play out for the next 8 hours of film. So yeah, I think it's a really good start. We know what we're in for, and we're in. Oh, you've got me hooked. I'm out.
Aston.
I don't want to piggyback off Matt, but definitely the opening, it brings you up to speed, like in the best way possible. Yeah, there might be some deviations, from, like, as Matt said, from the book, but it does a great job of just setting things up. Personally, when I just was looking at other guys on, who were discussing this matter, it's like, yeah, like Elijah, like they really kind of made the hobbits way too childish, like really kiddie and stuff. And I noticed it on this movie more so than the first one, because I'm like, okay, it's the first movie, blah, 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 right? But like Matt said, bro, it's like the dude's so unlikable, bro. Like all the kids didn't want to dress up as Frodo, okay? When I was at the premiere, everyone was trying to be Legolas or everything. And I think it's a disservice to the hobbits because... You know what, man? You got me on beer now, okay? I got to put the whiskey down. But yeah, all in all, the opening was amazing. It really gets you in. I still remember the theatrical cut, watching it go down, and I think the combat's a little longer in the extended. Don't quote me, but I think it is that scene's a little bit longer with the setup, and same with the bickering between the 2 furry-footed midgets. That's me. I'm punching out.
Ryan.
Yeah, this opening was huge. It establishes 2 things. Number one, the Balrog Gandalf fight, is a big scene because that thing was parodied in so many things after that. And you're only going to parody something because it's reached such a level of success. You want to copy it. Number 2, and it answers the question in the first movie when they introduced Gandalf. They're like, yeah, he's like the best wizard in the world. And you're like, all right, well, he just took a 3-second headfall dive into the water and that's it. So you at least get to see now how the fight go down. So that was great. Outside the hobbits, though, oh man, Elijah, there's only 2 things I ever got from this movie. And that is that he is tired of walking and how heavy that goddamn ring, how heavy that damn ring is on his neck. That is all I ever know about the 2 towers. But that opening scene, I think that's what lives in like everyone's memory is Gandalf just taking that cane and just bashing the Balrog as hard as he can in the chest. That's it.
Okay. All right. Dungeon Master.
All right, super good, action-packed opening scene. Kind of gets you into the whole experience, the feel for the rest of the film. That this is an epic thing going on, and what you thought happened between Gandalf and the Balrog definitely wasn't over. So I think someone had said before that kind of fleshed it out. That was really, really cool, and he was brought back. And in the last review, I talked about how important. What's the god's name? Uvar, I think is called. The god, the creator god, brings Gandalf back so that he can be Gandalf the White, because the White Wizard is not really. And it's interesting. I was looking at the costumes between Gandalf when he gets brought back.
You're skipping ahead big time.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll come back to the costumes in a minute then. But you know, after that action-packed scene, it was kind of cool because Sam brings us back to Earth because he throws down a little bit of comic relief, talking about the salt, talking about the lembas bread, and Matt had made mention that Sam isn't really being considered. Like, he says words of wisdom, but he's not really being considered for it. And near the end of this particular viewing, I never really thought about it before, but I think I noticed that the whole reason for that is kind of like a parallel with Pinocchio, in that Sam is like Jiminy Cricket. He is the conscience for Frodo. And this entire film, we see that pull from the band of power that's on his ring, on oh my god, on his finger. I tried so hard.
You did so well. You did so well.
Anyhow, but we'll see. There's instances throughout the whole thing where he's just getting pulled and tugged and cajoled, and it just gets worse. So that's what I got for right now. I don't want to go too far ahead.
Cyberneticshark, sir.
Just like pretty much everyone else has said, the beginning really pulls you in and gets you back into it because they start right off where the last film ended. And, they kind of pull you into where to kind of get you back into the groove, really, into where they're going, their quest and everything. And, you get kind of that great kind of showing more of the camaraderie, the relationship that Sam and Mr. F have. And you kind of get the idea of kind of where Sam's place is at the beginning here. And, you get kind of that like dreamlike state that we see right at the beginning here too, as well, which really pulls you into as well. So I think that the beginning of the film is a really great catalyst to really pulling you in, getting you ready for the rest of the film, and gives you kind of a good idea of kind of where we left off in the last film to get you ready for, continuing that story.
Okay. And I'll start off with you right first off, Cyber, and that's round of questions. Excellent job, everybody. Pardon me for my shitty, sloppy video, crappy Wi-Fi connections. Everybody else is doing better on Wi-Fi than I am, obviously, tonight. I'm in the Iceman mode, unfortunately, it looks like. But okay, so in the R country that I'm not going to mention by name, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli are in pursuit of the Uruk-hai, who are journeying back to Isengard with the hobbits, Merry and Pippin, as their captives. Meanwhile, Theoden, the king of the R country, is being held under a trance by Grima Wormtongue, who is secretly in the service of Saruman the White. Saruman is working towards the demise of the R country, the R spelled word country. Orcs and the Dunlendings, incited by Saruman, are freely roaming the land, burning villages, massacring the Rohirrim people, and destroying crops. In an attack on one of the villages, a mother sends her 2 children on horseback, it's very touching, to Edoras to warn the king of the attacks. Recently, the king's only son, Theodred, fell victim to them, left mortally wounded in an ambush. Theodred's nephew, Eamar, interrogates Grima, labeling him a spy. Grima, however, convinces the king to banish Eamar on pain of death for undermining his authority. Eamar sets forth to gather the remaining loyal men of the Rohirrim and leaves the Ar country. That night, Eamar's army ambushes and kills the party of Urkai, allowing Merry and Pippin to flee into the forest of Fanghorn. There they meet Treebeard, the oldest of Ents of Middle-earth. So I'll stop there before we head back over to the F-Man and Sam and the G-Man on their way traversing still to the Gates of Moria or whatever. So I'll start off this time with you, Cyber. That slice that we slip over to the I guess like the B plot of the film, where we focus on our main three characters there. What were your thoughts on that in the film?
This is where the film really starts to get going. We get reintroduced to Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas, and this is where we start getting into more of the action, less of the story element. And I really enjoyed this portion of the film, especially because we get to see all these new characters that get introduced a little bit. We get more with the Iroquois, who are just badass, even though they're bad guys. The orcs are so cool. Absolutely love the orcs, and the costume design on the orcs was just done so well, I thought, for this film. And like, if you are familiar with the books at all, if you've read them or anything like that, how the orcs are pictured in this film exactly as if you're reading the book. Because I felt as soon as I saw them on the big screen, like I felt I was rereading the book because it looked exactly what the pages that Tolkien was writing. And I really appreciated that because, I felt that, Peter Jackson did such a great job of, bringing the books to life. He put so much effort. He put so much, thought into making this film. And this sequence here really gives you a good insight into just what went into making this film. And I just really enjoyed how we got, finally we get to see Aragorn again, Gimli and Legolas, and how kind of their camaraderie is going on and how they're having fun and kind of their thought process of, going after orcs and leading their charge in the direction they need to go versus where we have, Mr. F and Sam going. And, like I said, as you went on, you kind of get that story there where we're introduced to that new kingdom that becomes kind of a central point of this film. And, you were introducing Miranda Otto's character, correct? Did you get that far, Jeff?
Yeah, you know what? You're doing it basically because I didn't mention Eowyn.
Okay.
But she's there. You're right.
Okay. So we get introduced to that character, and of course we're introduced, as you mentioned, to the scoundrel there, who is played by, of course, Brad Dourif. Yeah, Grima. And Brad Dourif, absolutely love Brad Dourif. He is so freaking awesome. He's been the voice of Chucky for since 1988. Has pretty much done every iteration except for the 2019 remake film, where Mark Hamill took over. And he always plays really great characters just as himself. We had him in this as this character, which plays such a great, like, sniveling, evil little trickster type of guy that looks so perfect and exactly what you would picture, like this evil, like, guy that's working for Mr. S, in the background, would look like, that has the king under a spell. And so Brad Dourif's character, I absolutely love. He was like one of my favorite parts of this film. Absolutely loved in this introduction scene where we get to see him and he's introduced and everything. And, this whole section is just really fun, really enjoyable, and continues the story very well. and it helps us see exactly kind of where did these characters go off to, what are they doing while Sam and Mr. F are going in their direction toward Mordor. And so I just really enjoyed it. I thought the scenery was amazing, the cinematography was amazing, and the costume set designs were all done so well throughout this section too. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great portion of the film.
Rick.
This definitely was cool. It was a very fun and exciting and engaging bit of exposition. I mean, because the previous movie, you kind of already have a bit of like longing to, obviously, to see what's going on, to see where the story is going to go and stuff, but an attachment to the characters. So you get the chance to see Aragorn actually show off some of his ranger skills, listening to rocks and tracking and finding the fallen leaf of Lothlorien, which was pretty cool. Dialogue, the lines of dialogue I think in this particular section are probably most well known throughout all the films. You have lines of dialogue like the most famous and iconic, they're taking the hobbits to Isengard. You have they run as if the very whips of their masters were behind them, which I don't know how many takes that would have taken to actually get that line off. You got the night camp of the orcs and uruks, where they're having a discussion about the halflings, and the uruks are like, they're not for eating. And then though it's such a really good instrument that is used to really show how powerful these uruks are, because they're better than orcs. They're so much better than orcs that they're gonna freaking eat orcs. All right, they're hungry, and meat's back on the menu, boys. I was like, oh my god, bro, they're straight up eating orcs. Like, they view orcs as such a lesser being that they are food. They're the menu tonight. So, dude, it's just so crazy, the amount of exposition. So later on, when they talk about uruks, you're like, dang, man, these are not orcs. You're right, they're not orcs. They're crazier than orcs. All right. So yeah, really cool bit in this movie, and that's what I got.
That's right, and they were produced by like Saruman using like evil science, sexual science, and magic and shit.
Yeah, you saw in the first movie when they start to breed them out of the ground, one of the ones come out of the ground, and he straight up, first thing he does is chokes one of the orcs to death. Just straight up chokes him to death. I think you even hear his neck snap. You're just like,
oh, that's how you choke the hose over in the dungeon, right? Come on, don't even play. Don't even play, bruh. Aston, your thoughts, sir?
Roll for choking hose. Okay, we're rolling to choke hose. Okay, I'm gonna have to agree with everybody else. It does a great job of introducing us to Zohan, not the barber, but a town that's very close in name. So the way they set up the town, and dude, like Dorf's character, that's sleaze. Like literally, bro. Like I needed to take, every time he comes in frame, I need to take a shower, and I got to fight back the urge to throw something at the TV. Great casting choice. Great makeup, lighting, the way he just, like the ominosity or whatever the word is. I don't know $2 words, okay?
But new word.
Yeah, he was just like, the way he moved around, and the way, like, we all know those creepers, bro. We all have met those sort of creepers in high school, just lingering a little too long by the girls' locker room. That dude.
We've got one on right now. His name is Dungeon Master.
Oh, that's cold-blooded, man. That's cold-blooded, man. I ain't say that, Rick. I ain't say that. but yeah, it did such a good job. I mean, even with Elwin and just the whole debate of that, like, cursed king and stuff, the way Theoden looks totally, like, washed out. I was like, whoa, like, this was great. It really sets the tone, sliding you in, as Cyber said. This is where the the meat of the movie starts. This is where it's like, okay, now people are really getting what's at stake here.
Cyber said something about sliding some shit in. I don't remember that happening.
No, yo, man, you know what? I'm punching out now. I'm punching out, guys. I'm before I get us drunk. I'm punching out.
All right, Ryan, wrap this up. What's up?
Yeah, for sure. This scene was critical. Like you said, the meat's back on the menu that Rick was saying. That line is like the best line for this whole thing. What I really like about this scene is you could tell how committed these people were. Because I think it was during this scene where Viggo Mortensen like kicked one of the Uruk high helmets, and he did it like so hard in real life he like broke his toe and had to continue filming because he kicked the helmet. He didn't realize. Yeah, he didn't realize how hard the helmet was. And that's just as funny as hell because as soon as they hit cut, he just started throwing some shit around and got super pissed. But no, Wormtongue, that was someone at the casting menu got a bonus because they looked at this guy and they're like, yeah, we're going to make America hate you so good for Christmas. And they succeeded 100%, which was needed because we didn't really have like a villain in the first movie. We knew who the villain was, the big eye in the sky, but we didn't there was no physical, like really tangible character, like villain. So this really helped like personify who you want to see die.
Ryan, I like your hat, bro.
Brand new era.
That's dope. That's just tight. All right. Good job, everybody. It's trailer time. So if anybody needs to go to the bathroom or get a new drink or anything like that, now is a good time. As Iceman for everybody. Thank you, Verizon. Thank you, Xfinity, Comcast.
The fate of the world will soon be decided. The dominion of evil grows even stronger. There is a union now between the two towers, Barad-dûr, fortress of the Dark Lord Sauron, and Orthanc, stronghold of the wizard Saruman. The peril of the Ringbearer deepens. An unseen danger draws closer. For there is another who hunts the ring.
They stole my precious, and we want it.
Back to you now, at the turn of the tide.
Oh man, that trailer was, I think, looking about as good as my Wi-Fi is looking on my video tonight. It's looking a little bit rough, a little sketchy. There for a minute there. Probably not one of the best trailers I've ever seen in my life. But do I have any thoughts on that trailer by any chance as we move forward in our Two Towers review? Anybody want to pitch in on the trailer?
I felt that the trailer for the first movie was a little better than this one because this one really, at least I felt, there wasn't enough gravitas charging you through that whole trailer. Like it didn't, like, for me, this is the best movie of the trilogy, And I feel it didn't sell what to expect, because there's so much going on in this movie that they could have easily pulled from left to right and given us a few more tidbits, because you couldn't spoil anything. It's such a long feature that they could have done a little bit more, but that's just me on the trailer. But I guess they already knew the people who saw the first one were coming back for the second one. So like, whatever. That's my thoughts.
Don't give away Gandalf the White. There's no point. Why do they show him? Why do you need to play that card in the trailer? It's ridiculous. Hold it back. There's so many battle scenes and there's so much other stuff they can show to bring us into the movie. Don't show the big reveal. And I know they're probably saying that, people have read the books and people are going to believe that Gandalf doesn't die, but okay, yeah, he doesn't die, but for those that haven't read the books, don't give it away that he comes back as Gandalf the White. I just think it's stupid. Like, I don't know why studios play the public for fools all the time. And this is a great example of it. Even back in 2002, they do it. It's even worse now. Like, you effectively don't need to see Deadpool and Wolverine because they've shown everything that's going to happen in the bloody trailer. Like, hold it back. Anyway, that's all I've got to say.
I thought it was a kind of strange choice for, maybe not super strange. I guess I kind of get a little bit the choice for music on the background for this. This was basically the theme song for The Fellowship. However, this movie was definitely darker, and certainly by the last half. The ending credits song, Gollum song, dude, that thing is creepy, man. That thing, I really I took my time to actually listen through that song because of how creepy it was, and it ended on such a note for me that I'm like, man, I really want to watch the next one. That just based on the music. So I get how they're trying to continue the whole Fellowship feeling with this trailer so people can okay, we're going to go, because they don't know what it's going to be. But it just, now having seen it and take a look at it, I'm like, that's not what it was about. It wasn't about that type of mood, that type of theme for this whole entire movie. But yeah, whatever.
Okay. All right. Moving back to the actual film itself, the Two Towers. So Mr. F, Sam, and Gollum traverse the dead marshes, evading a Nazgul riding on a winged beast. When they finally reach the Black Gate, they find it shut and heavily guarded by orcs. However, as they watch, an Easterling contingent arrives and the gate opens for them to enter. Sensing a chance, Mr. F and Sam get ready to move. However, Gollum, who confirms their fears of capture, insists they attempt to get in via the Black Gate will only end with the one circular object returning to Sarad holds them back. He then reveals that there is another way into Mordor, hidden and unguarded. Sam is immediately suspicious, but Mr. F gives him the benefit of the doubt, pointing out that he has remained loyal thus far. So, going to you, Ryan. That's another chunk of scene there before we move on to back to our other three protagonists. Go ahead, Ryan.
The craziest thing about that, number one, the Dead Marsh was the coolest landscape, where you see all those, I think it was the past souls or whatnot, those that had perished in those lands are just trying to reach out. And that was just cinematically, that was on point. That made the movie so good. What I like about this, and that just hits home that Elijah's character was clearly not listening, is Sam pretty much brings up to him when he looks at the creature and is like, hey, just so you know, we have a story about this guy who went a little crazy about, circles. He really loves the circles. This might be that guy. And he's like, no, it can't be. I trust him wholeheartedly. This cannot be the guy. Let's hear him out. Even if he is, let's hear him out. Oh man, that annoyed me so bad. They could have that movie could have been over so quickly if they had just followed Sam. We could have turned this into a 30-minute trip. Everyone's going to get high with Gandalf back at the Shire. This movie's wrapped up really nicely. But no, cinematography wise, This, like, the camera shots were great. And this is where the movie got dark, because I think that trailer you played showed all 10 minutes of sunlight in the entire movie for the Two Towers. That was it. Everything else was like the last episode of Game of Thrones, just pitch black. So that's all I got for this one.
And wonderful, awkward silence, people.
Yeah, I didn't know if someone was supposed to chime in or if I was meant to go next. I was just like, I'm gonna just be quiet.
Where are you, Jeff? Hello.
I was about to say something right before Cyber talked.
You are the host. It's usually generally what the host does. Like, it's not often that we deal with mute hosts. So this is new on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We're going to try the new mute host.
It's my Wi-Fi. Cyber, go ahead.
Oh, okay. This sequence, the whole Marsh sequence, yeah, I have to agree, like what pretty much everyone else has said so far. It being very dark, and Wookiee-ish, I guess, apparently. Because we're still doing the Acolyte, but then we're not, Anyways, so, this part, the Marsh part, it's kind of interesting. I like how we get kind of that whole kind of very dark landscape. We see all the dead bodies and stuff like that. Mr. F at one point gets pulled into the marsh itself, and all the like spirits of the dead there are rising towards him. And I think that sequence is very interesting. Simple fact that I thought that for the time in 2002, I thought that the CGI worked really well for that time. The look of it was really good. And on the 4K edition of the extended cut, it still looks really damn good for being 22 years old. So I think that sequence was done very well. And, I think that it's a really great pivotal part of kind of giving people in the audience kind of a thought process into this is a very dark story. This isn't, all sunshine and daisies, this movie or the storyline to this. It's a very dark story. And I think this sequence here kind of gives you an idea that, hey, there's some spiritual, natural things going on. There's some ghost activity going on here. Kind of giving you an indication that we'll see this later on, maybe down the road in either, the next film or in this film later on or whatever. And I think that it was kind of a great, predecessor to a great scene we'll see in the next film. But, I think that whole process of really showing you how much this ring is, pulling out of Mr. F is really shown in this sequence too, because it's showing that it's taken a lot of willpower for him not to be possessed by this ring. And this sequence, I think, is kind of a nice little indication of just what Mr. F is dealing with. So I think the Marsh sequence is a very pivotal sequence, even though it's not super long. But at the same time, I think it was a really well done, section of the film that I found very interesting and very informative.
Okay. Rick.
Really cool stuff. I had mentioned earlier with regard to Gandalf coming back from being resurrected by Uru Yuvatar, the creator god of Middle Earth. And you can really see when he's first introduced, he's got a shining, pure white robe on. It looked like it had just been created. You know what I mean? Whereas when they cut to the wizard, I don't think we can say his name. Yeah, we can. Saruman. His is dingy, and I don't think I could say the D word, but his is dingy and looks like old and looks like it's not even white. It's more gray, honestly. So you really get to see a contrast in the costume, which was kind of cool. In the Dead Marshes, I felt like it was a real cool bit of world building in that if you were paying attention for the first movie, you're like, wait a second, man, this is that opening scene place. This is where the last alliance of elves and men fought on the slopes of Mount Doom. This is where it is. This is the Battle of Doggerland, you know? So and I don't know if you guys are familiar, you probably know that this was written as J.R.R. Tolkien wrote this as like a mythology of England, but there is a Doggerland, very similarly pronounced, that is an ancient area that was covered up by water before the last at the very end of the ice age, like 12,000 years ago. This is real life stuff. Anyhow, a little bit of tidbit there. Getting back to the movie though, super important thing happened in the Dead Marshes is Gollum and Mr. Baggins begin to create this sort of relationship, and it's more based on Mr. Baggins' attempts to make this relationship. He tells him his true name, starts with an S, we can't say it, and
we tried to reach out to the man who died in this pursuit. They were unavailable for comment.
What's really interesting though about that is Gollum, Mr. Baggins sees Gollum as something that he will become in the future. So he hopes that Gollum can come back from the Band of Powers influence, because if he cannot, then Mr. Baggins knows that his life is forfeit at the end of this journey. So this is a real important thing for Mr. Baggins in whether or not Gollum can be influenced by hope and change. And Pippin for the win, by the way. He started the he woke up the ants.
Rick, what do you think about one of these cutscenes from the film that got left out?
端からまでね、ギザ生地を回すこと以外にほぼデータがなかったんですが、ただもんじゃないですね。
結構ね、ルイズ・プリモ選手の情報って意外と少ないですよね。
少ないんですよ。SNS でね、ピザ生地を回しながら戦う姿の動画がですね、めちゃくちゃバズったんですが、そのバズった以上の情報が入ってこないんですよね。今度はピザ。
Oh man, I've said it before. I used to do that stuff, man. I used to do that stuff. That's cool though. Back in the day, 20 years ago, I used to do that. I was professionally trained, man.
God, I wish we had a clip of you getting after it, Rick, so we could play it during the show. It'd be awesome.
You know what, man? I got some on VHS. I'd have to put them in the digital format.
All right. Ryan.
Yeah, I don't think I have much stuff to share except for after the first part.
Okay. Matthew.
Yes, Jeff, how are you? You good?
I'm going to you, sir.
Okay, right, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, I thought so. Okay, yeah, the Dead Marshes is an excellent scene. I think that whilst there's no doubt we were introduced in the previous part to Grima, who I think is the best character in the whole movie. I think that the landscape and the world, the extra world building that we see in this movie is without a doubt one of the best parts of this movie. And obviously it's the Dead Marshes are excellent. I personally just let Elijah drown. Just let Elijah drown, and the movie is so much better. I want to know. We get introduced to the trio in the previous part, and that's all I want to follow. Every time that Elijah's on the screen, I'm almost de-invested a little bit in the movie because of how painful his character becomes, and it's really only Sam that keeps you in those frames that he's involved in. A question. So they want to go to the Black Gate. Now, Gollum's supposed to be leading them. He should know that they're not going to be able to get into the Black Gate. He already knows there's another place to go to. there's a lot of questions that get thrown about his legitimacy, about what he's trying to achieve, that Sam knows, and how oh God, I almost said it. How Elijah is not seeing these things, and okay, and I think it was you, Ryan, that said that they're sort of kindred spirits, that they are, and Rick as well said they're kindred spirits, and that, but they're on different journeys. Like Gollum's journey is to possess the ring, and have the ring, and have its. Oh God, I've said ring. I'm just going to say it again, ring. That's like 4 times. Sorry, boys. I'll drink some water because it's midday here. But he wants to possess it, whereas Elijah's job is to destroy it. And so I think whilst, they are sort of kindred spirits, they're on different journeys. The question I have, and this is where I think they missed a beat here, is that it's one hell of a blanket that they've got, because they are 1 meter from those like soldiers, and they're under a blanket, and we don't get told any reason as to why it looks like stone. They miss a piece here because it's a magic blanket. If you've read the books, you know that it's a magic blanket or it's a magic cape, whatever it is. But it's always puzzled me for 22 years as to why they've been able to hide under this blanket and not be seen. And then the minute, like they are 4 meters away, they whip the blanket off and away they go. I think that's, out of the 3 movies, it's one bit that I think is a bit of a misstep, because if you haven't read the book, you don't know. And I just think there's a lot of, as popular as the book is and as popular as these movies are, you still need to explain some things and not just expect that we understand. And I think that one part has always been the bit that I go, it's a little lazy, that they just expect us to go, oh, well, the blanket's magic. Now, I wouldn't know that. But anyway, again, it could be a 30-minute movie. Stop listening to Gollum. Anything that Elijah decides, ignore it, and just listen to Sam, please. And the movie's over. But then we don't get another 9 hours. Anyway, Quarto out.
I mean, in the first movie, in the Fellowship, it said Galadriel. Celeborn said, "Never before have we clad strangers in the garb of our own people. May these cloaks help shield you from unfriendly eyes." I don't know. Maybe because I played D&D my whole life, that I kind of took that as it's a cloak of elven kind. But I don't know. That I did not have any explanation problems about this cloak, and you get to see it actually twice in this movie, because when Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas are going to Edoras as they're tracking the hobbits, they basically stroll up on the Rohirrim, who are riding on horseback. And they're like right in their face, and they still don't see them because those cloaks are actually shielding them from gaze. You know what I mean?
From the gaze?
Yeah, they're not able to see them because the cloaks help make them blend into the natural setting.
I thought you were talking about the gaze.
No,
I wasn't sure whether
I saw what you did there, bro. Respect.
But look, I get it.
Bruv.
There's a lot of men. The Rohirrim are all men, and you got to do what you got to do. And
yes.
Meat's back on the menu.
Dang, bro. Dang.
That is the clip of the stream.
Right there, bro. Right, that's it.
You wanted some bad flesh. She wanted some bad flesh.
Well, it's back on the menu.
Aston.
Yes.
Okay. For me, because we got to the part where Strider is talking to the blonde chick at Zohan, right? We played through that. That's going further now, right? Just want to check if we passed that scene. We did, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so for me, this whole part, the gravity of war, that's what this was. Like, they are going to war. There is no question. There's no one coming to help them. the swamp. I definitely gonna second and third piggyback off everything everyone said so far, Matt and Cyber, because when you see, like, I'm not even gonna talk about Elijah Woods and stuff like that because his, like, it's just so the opposite of empathy is what I'm feeling for dude at this part of the movie. I'm literally like, can this dude shut up?
We honestly, Aston, I'm sorry. We have actually not gotten to the point where Aragorn has reached he hasn't met Ewan yet.
Oh, okay. My bad. My bad. Rewind. Rewind. Basically, Elijah's whining a lot. The cinematography was amazing. The way they encapsulated it, and the darkness, that edging darkness leading to that
drink.
But we're gonna.
That's a drink. Clink.
Damn it. But yes, that elven cloak thing, that scene with the elven cloak, definitely, if you play D&D, you can kind of surmise what is going on. But in such a long movie, they could have at least given you one sentence of dialogue or a flashback to when the gifts were given, or something, just a little bit. So I'm with Matt on that one, because rewatching it, it did feel a little bit out of place considering how they set everything else up leading to it. So yeah, I mean, you're in the thick of it and you see the impending opposite of whiteness coming up. So yeah, that's me on this scene. That's me on this part of the story. I'm sorry because I was looking at the text below, like that was going by, and it kind of threw me off a bit. My bad, Chief. So you guys, my bad.
No problem, brother. And Dom, I don't follow wrestling currently right now, so I would know which wrestler represents me best. But by sheer power and a basically intimidating demeanor, jeez, I hope I don't come off like that, Dom.
Not even in the slightest, Jeff. Not even in the slightest, bro.
No, come on now. Come on, folks. So anyway,
you're like Randy Savage.
So Eobar later encounters Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli in the R country. He tells the group that there were no survivors of the battle with the Orcai the previous night, indicating that Merry and Pippin were accidentally slain. Upon arriving at the battle site, Aragorn picks up the tracks of the hobbits, and the trio follow them into Fangorn. There they are approached and temporarily subdued by a wizard masked with shining white light. Initially fearing it is Saruman, the group are amazed when he reveals himself to be Gandalf, reborn after defeating the Balrog in the battle that cost him his life. Gandalf reveals that he is now known as Gandalf the White. The quartet proceed to Edoras, where they exercise Saruman's hold on Theoden and banish Wormtongue. The now awakened Theoden has to come to terms with both his son's death and the threat of Saruman. Rather than risk open war and further harm his people, especially after seeing the two exhausted children who finally arrived from the village, Theoden decides to flee to Helm's Deep, a large stronghold in the mountains. Gandalf realizes that Helm's Deep's defenses will not survive the Uruk-hai. The Uruk-hai onslaught, that is surely to come. He leaves to find Eobar, promising to return within 5 days with the 2,000 banished riders of the Rohirrim. As they lead the people of Edoras to Helm's Deep, Aragorn and Eowyn, Eobar's sister, form a close relationship. Aragorn tells Eowyn that Arwen, whom he loves, is leaving Middle-earth to be with her people in the Undying Lands. In the meantime, Wormtongue has fled to Orthanc and informed Saruman of a weakness in the outer wall of Helm's Deep, which Saruman and his army of 10,000 Uruk-hai plan to exploit. Saruman dispatches his army to Helm's Deep, ordering them to spare no one. Eat man flesh tonight, or some shit he said. I don't know, something like that. So, Ryan, start us off on that one. Big chunk.
Oh man, this was so good. The best scene of that section of the movie is where Gandalf just gives zero fucks and he just takes that cane and just starts knocking on the king's head and telling him just like, I can't remember what he kept on yelling at him, but he's just like, stop. And then all of a sudden that was again with the CGI and like how they made the movie, like that transition from like this old decrepit king kind of restored back to like his youth. Kind of as the whole thing of the whole movie is, Middle Earth itself is going down, kind of this thing. And we're getting back to that Great War that we had stopped before, and now we're coming back. Like everything's getting, we're kind of just looping time, just a lot. So now we're going to like that second age. So I was very happy with that. The ends are probably the best thing of this movie, especially later in the film when they just go off, and that was like one of my other favorite battle sequences. I can't wait till we get to that. But definitely the Gandalf talking to the king, that was my favorite part of this whole scene.
Okay. Aston.
So there was the end scene where they had the dialogue, right? About the wives. If I not yet, or I'm checking because I got my notes on the side of the screen, so I'm they might not be in the best chronological order. But when Gandalf came back, I might be the only guy on this panel, but I wasn't blown away in the cinema. Probably because I saw the trailer, read the books. I kind of figured he was coming back. When I saw people cheering in the cinema, I was just like looking left, looking right, looking left, looking right. But when they banished Dorf's character, I was like, yeah, now that the heaviness of war and what they're realizing, that's what this is about. Because people forget that Tolkien fought in a world war. That 6 of his 40 classmates were the only ones who came back. So it's like, that's how I always look at it. Like for me, those scenes where it's like it's not a choice of whether we're going to reconnect with the guy who was banished in such a corporate shillery way of like, oh, I had the king sign this with like, it's literally falling off the contract. I'm like, how does this even count? You see his creepiness to the point, and even when he's fleeing, he still like spits on like Aragorn. I'm like, what? This didn't happen in the books, bro. I'm like, Strider ain't letting that slide. But yes, that creep when it comes to the magnitude of everything, when Theoden is kind of getting himself back together, and like his niece is like crying, and he sees what has happened to his court, and he's still kind of like stubborn at the end of that scene. There was still a little bit of that stubbornness of like, probably maybe it's him showing he's ashamed of being corrupted and stuff. But Gandalf did a great job with the walking stick, everything leading into it, and just the way that whole town looks was just amazing. Just the way they shot it and everything, amazing. Like really gets you invested into seeing how this is going to progress. You really want to see them crush these guys, and you want to see Wormtongue get his at the end. So yeah, that's me on this part.
I'm about that life. Ask P. Diddy. I just came from his house, even though I'm feeling funny after drinking P. Diddy juice. Wait, what the fuck? What's happening here?
Rick.
Yeah, man.
What's going on there, brother?
Oh, I tell you got the clips, bruv. You got the clips.
Oh, most definitely, dude. You don't even know.
He dedicates 8 hours a day role-playing as a toddler.
I'm in baby mode on and off all day.
And Jess's daddy is caring for her.
I'm 20, but not really because I'm 5.
Adopted mommy and daddy who are totally comfortable with me being a little girl.
I identify as an 8-year-old girl called Denise. Therefore, I am an 8-year-old girl.
Oh, yeah, man. I've seen that stuff before. That's crazy. Anyhow, man, is it my turn?
Yeah, would you stick that chick that's like, well, I'm 20, but I'm really 5? I'd stick that shit. What do you think, Rick? Would you
I'm a married man, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's right. I didn't know that. Well, okay,
so of course, of course.
I have my own band of power, you know.
So of course she would. I would. She would join us.
The cock ring of power.
Drake
would have been better than what Amazon's doing. Regardless, Matt, you need to pitch that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you. From down under, making people drinking shit, motherfucker. Anyways, I guess that must be your cue.
My cue. Okay. Great part of the movie. I think
that's right. That's right, Mr. My President's Crocodile Dundee. Let's go.
The double reveal of Gandalf the White is great. I think that the one in Fangorn Forest is good, although it is a little expected. But I actually think the one in the Arland when he is going to banish Wormtongue and free Theoden is excellent. I think that's a really great scene. I think that I'm interested to know why Aragorn didn't just slaughter Wormtongue and just end him. There's a lot of patience shown and a lot of, they should have just finished him. I think it's just a really cool part of the movie. Obviously, we get to meet the Ents, who play quite a substantial role later on in the film. But the whole Wormtongue for me is he's the star of the film. Like he's the role that he plays, even though he's not in it for a long time. I just think he is just the most memorable part. And it is a bit of a shame that we don't get to see more of him. But we also then, we get to see, I agree with you, Anton, I think Aston, the part of the film, sorry, mate, the part of the film in the Arland, the set, the landscape, it's so big and so just incredible that you are just transported there. And I think that I've already mentioned it about how impressive and how important the real world locations are to this film. Like it is such the most important part to me is the locations and the fact that they have chose to do all this is a real place. Like Middle Earth is a real place that they have turned and they've created, and I think it is just such an incredible part. And this scene, especially when you see what the Arland looks like and the scope is just incredible. And then when that decision that Theoden makes to move to Helm's Deep, you know that he's being pushed to make that decision, but he wants it to be felt that he makes the decision. We've all had that boss that's so incredibly stubborn that you have to play slow ball with them and they have to then be the ones to go, I actually think we need to move to Helm's Deep. And he thinks it's his decision. And I think that's a really cool part of the film. And then obviously we know that the movie's going to go to another level once that decision is made to go to Helm's Deep. And we are just waiting with bated breath for what's going to be the final third of the movie, where we know that we're in for it, and we're so heavily invested already, but we just know that this last third of the movie is going to be what I think is quite possibly the best part of the three movies, the Battle of Helm's Deep, and I think that I think it's a great part. Well done.
Cyberneticshark, sir.
Cyber, across to you, mate. Take it away.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyways, thank you. Thank you for that introduction, Matt. Anyways, got to get us Aussies from down under. Anyways, so this section, just like Matt was saying, this is the great, glorious, wonderful, amazing reappearance of Gandalf himself. We get that great reintroduction to Gandalf. He's now Gandalf the White. And I really like this sequence because I just thought that the change in color for him too, going from, Gandalf the Gray to Gandalf the White, which I wouldn't have picked white because I just feel that would get too dirty in the battlefield. And just, maybe they should have went with black, Gandalf the black or green or brown, maybe even, that would have been a better color. But at the same time, I was kind of like thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. They're reintroducing him as a different version of himself. And I remember seeing that in the book and reading and going, wow, that was a really interesting turn. Because, last time we saw Gandalf, he was fighting the demon. And, which was so badass from that first film, that very end sequence where he's battling. I forget what the demon's name is. Balrog. Thank you. Yep, Balrog. And Balrog, it just like for its time in 2001, it just was so digitally done well, and it just looked so cool. And I remember Gandalf taking on him, and I was like, that is so badass. And so after he falls down with him, and you're like, holy shit, is that the end of Gandalf? Like, nah, that can't be. That's too great of a character to not, to have to lose. And so when you read the book and compare it to the movie, and you get kind of a little bit more of I felt a little bit more information into what happens to Gandalf a little before we get to see it in the film. I remember thinking, I'm like, I wonder how they're going to do that in this film. And so the reintroduction to him was so awesome. We get to see him fighting Balrog a little more, which was really awesome. And then the reintroduction of him, and he's in the white garment, and you're just like, he shines, he's beautiful, he's amazing looking. You're just like, that is awesome. And at the same time, I'm kind of thinking, I wonder if that was kind of a suggestion, like how he shines in the film from Ian McKellen himself. Kind of he's like the Peter Jackson, like, so I want to shimmer more. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like something that he would ask for. Because I just feel Ian McKellen would definitely, that would be something he would want. And so when he reappears in the film, you're just kind of like in awe almost. So I absolutely love that sequence. I thought it was so awesome, especially on the big screen, how all of a sudden that bright light comes out and he reappears, and you're just like, holy shit, that's bad. That is badass. And I just really enjoyed it. And seeing Ian McKellen come back, because I absolutely have loved Ian McKellen as that character, as Gandalf. I think he was a great choice. He did a great job bringing that character off of the pages that Tolkien wrote and really gave it its own. And I think I felt that from what I've read in the books, the Gandalf character, I felt Ian did a good job of, reiterating who he was from the book. I thought it was pretty spot on. And I enjoyed that. He almost brought a little bit of his Magneto to the character, I felt, too, as well. I definitely felt there's a little Magneto popping out there. And so that sequence of him reappearing, like I said, I can't get enough of it. I could watch it over and over again. It just was so awesome. But this whole sequence as well, once again, it's another great little section that gives you a lot of great information and helps the story really move along. And you get to see these new relationships form, and you get to see some characters reappear and all this kind of stuff that just makes the movie very awesome. I just really appreciated it, and I thought it was a good sequence.
Okay, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, just what everyone said before. I mean, like I said, Gandalf turning the king was a great time. But yeah, as everyone said, and I always forget to look at that this was all filmed in a real place. What is it? It's almost all New Zealand, isn't it? I think that's the majority. Yeah, that's the whole thing. I would love to take the tour. Yeah, and it's crazy to think that that's like all those landscapes. It's a real place, and you can go and visit the Shire.
I watched all of it today. I watched all of the index of Two Towers from the DVD. I watched it today. There's a lot there.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's always impressive. Just the sheer what they did with the landscape and how they made this film come to life based on real, like everything that's real.
Most definitely. Nothing more real than going to the Asian massage parlor.
Always.
Shout out to the Asian massage parlors I frequent.
Getting them happy endings, huh?
Y'all know who you are. Y'all know who you are.
Not for them. Not for them. It's not.
Shout out to Taji Massage Parlor. Taji, you're my favorite spot. Got some fine ass Asian chicks over there too. Fine ass chicks. Good job, Taji. You guys recruit well.
Yo, Matt's a boss. He got food being brought into him off camera like a boss, man. Like O'Reilly, man. Do it live.
Well, you got to have your 10-year-old daughter's got to be good for something.
Salute.
one of the rare times a 10-year-old daughter has something to do with the MCU's Bleeding Edge. It's very rare.
Having an Australian Vegemite sandwich, people. So enjoy that.
As long as it's not Marmite, you're good, mate.
Absolutely.
We love it. Vegemite sandwich. Good for you, Matt. Get after it, bro. All right. So back to the Two Towers.
Mind if I throw in a point real quick?
No, no points allowed, sir. Go ahead, Rick.
There's a big point, and I got two little side points at the end. And if I got time, I'll throw it in. But the big point is that there's two things that happen that really show that the J.R. Tolkien is a veteran from World War I.
Fuck you, Steve from Bumble. Fuck you.
The first one is, and this is, I mean, I gotta say it because for some people, you know, unfortunately, it's tragically going to be something that people can relate to, and that is the funeral, which, the Theodred is dead, and Theoden has to bury his own son, and there are a lot of people that I'm sure watched this movie and was like, "Yo, man, I totally get what he's going through," because
I heard
that.
some stuff about Theodred.
Hot D.
But I mean, for some people, I mean, when I was younger, actually, one of my real good friends, I was in high school, he actually passed away, and I know that
He hung out with Theodred. He kicked it with Theodred.
What?
Did he kick it with Theodred?
Theodred was the princeling that died, you know. But getting back to what I was saying, you know, when I was younger, one of my buddies passed away, and his parents, man, they was real shook up for the stuff because, you know, they had to bury their own son, you know what I mean? And that's some serious stuff. So you wouldn't necessarily put that in a movie if you didn't know someone who had to go through something like that, you know what I'm saying? Or in a book. This was obviously written on paper first. And the other thing is you really get to see Faramir. There's many instances of this, but the first instance that Faramir really shows that he knows a thing or two about war, because when they show the Oliphants, one of the dudes dies, and they just sit there and look down at the dead dude, and he's like, you know, I wonder what lies were told to get this guy to leave out his door, you know, and you got to think about that, you know. And he even says, who's the enemy? You know, who is the enemy? You know what I'm saying? Because the enemy is us to someone else. So it kind of gets you thinking, like, you know, there's two sides to every tale kind of thing. And the other thing I want to say is the landscapes. Yeah, man, they're super stunning. And those warg riders' teeth are nasty.
There you go. Don't fuck with the warg. All right. I think I got everybody in. Unless I'm missing something. So moving forward with the film, let me play our second trailer. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better. We'll have to see. How's your Vegemite, mate?
Outstanding. I'm on to Twisties now.
Vegemite is pretty consistent. There you go. Trailer 2, baby. Let's do it.
What business does an elf, a man, and a dwarf have in the Ritter Mark? Speak quickly!
We track a band of Uruk-hai westward across the plain. They have taken 2 of our friends captive.
Look for your friends, but do not trust to hope. It has forsaken these lands.
We're lost. I don't think Gandalf meant for us to come this way.
He didn't mean for a lot of things to happen, Sam.
I come back to you now, at the turn of the tide.
Sauron's forces have begun their attack. He is using Saruman
to destroy your people.
They were unarmed. They had no warning.
This is but a taste of the terror that Saruman will unleash. You must fight.
I will not risk open war.
Open war is upon you, whether you would risk it or not.
A new power is rising. Its victory is at hand.
It is an army bred for a single purpose, to destroy the world of men.
You must lead the people to Helm's Deep. By order of the king, the city must empty.
Where is she? The woman who gave you that jewel.
The alliance between men and elves is over. Our time here is ending. Arwen's time is ending. Let her go.
Where is it?
Just tie him up and leave it. No!
You know the way to Mordor.
There will be no dawn for men.
It's the ring.
Frodo!
It's taken hold of you.
You have the gift of foresight. Tell me what you have seen.
He is not coming back.
The defenses have to hold.
They will hold.
There is nothing for you here. Only death.
There is still hope.
All right. Trailer 2. A little bit longer this time. Any thoughts? Anybody?
Way better than the first one. I feel this one really conveyed that this is actually a movie about an impending war. The war has started. Like, it really brings it. Same with the love. Like, I'm not going to take a deuce on the love trope because everybody had a thing for Liv Tyler since Armageddon. So let's not, everybody on the panel, let's not lie about it. Let's please not lie about it. So seeing that love story I
never had a Liv Tyler thing from Armageddon.
You know, take the knife out my back, please. Take the knife out of my back,
No,
Jeff.
go ahead.
Thank you.
You're good. You're good. I never had that. I never had the Liv Tyler phase, bruh.
Hey, man, what can I say, man? Like, for me, she was everything. But I love how it really, this trailer really tells you what you can expect in this movie. I'm done. I'm punching out either.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, if you compare, just the way it sets it up, even the lines they choose, sacrifice. That's what this is about. Like, to me, that's what Two Towers is about. The inevitable sacrifice all those people got to make in Helm's Deep, you know? So it did a great job. That's all I'm going to say about the trailer. You guys take it away.
No, it was just a much better trailer. When you watch that, like, that's,
Anyway.
I mean, that's the movie that I'm expecting. That's like when you read the books, because they re-released like almost all the books, like when the Fellowship came out, and then we had like special editions, and like that's probably where I can remember reading most of them. Like, that's the trailer I expect for this movie. Not, oh, there's a little sunshine. Sam and his boyfriend are going for a picnic. Like, it's gonna be all right. This is what we're in for. No, that is not this kind of story. So this trailer was a lot more exact to this, what was going to happen.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, they don't focus on Elijah, which is good. He just asks, can you take me to Mordor because I'm busting for a shit? And that's really about it. Let's move on.
I'm busting for a shit, bro. You have like 2 quotables thus far, mate. Like, I don't know where we're going with you. We got to kidnap you to put you on call.
No, I said Elijah. I said Elijah. He's got that look. He's like looking up, like he's contemplating. It's turtle heading. It's about to pop. Get me to Mordor. They got great public facilities there.
All his lines are totally coming from the pussy dimension, without question. They're like total pussy shit. So meanwhile, Mr. F and Sam have been taken to Henneth Anon or whatever. I guess I don't know, Ananan or whatever, a stronghold for the Rangers of Ithilien, and brought before Faramir, Boromir's younger brother. Gollum had evaded capture, and in order to save him from death at the hands of Faramir's hunters, Mr. F accepts that he and Gollum are bound to each other. Faramir investigates further and learns of the one circular object that starts with an R that Frodo carries, seeking to prove his worth to his father. Then he decides the R word shall go to Gondor. Oh, drink. Cheers. In the R country, Aragorn washes up on the riverbank and is nudged awake by the horse Brago, who is King Theoden's horse, which formerly belonged to Theodred. Okay, I'm sorry, Theodred, which Aragorn had set free before leaving Edoras. On the verge of collapse, he wills his horse to take him to Helm's Deep, passing Saruman's army of Uruk-hai on the way. His arrival at Helm's Deep is met with relief, but is short-lived as the news of the approaching Uruk-hai horde casts doubt upon the survival of the defenders. As night falls, a battalion of elves, led by Haldir, arrives from Lothlorien, bearing the word of alliance and aid from Elrond. In Fangorn Forest, Merry, Pippin, Treebeard, and other Ents hold an Ent moot to decide on the role of the Ents in the war with Saruman. They also have Ent moots in the dungeon. Dungeon Master knows all about them. We'll talk about those later in the show. Different in the dungeon. But, all right, so on that section, I'll go to you first, Matt. What do you think, sir?
First, I really like that we're left that anticipation after the battle that Aragorn might be gone. Obviously, we know that he's not going to. But again, the one thing that we learn is that Aragorn he has ESP with horses. It's just like the horse knows where to go. And it's, in the synopsis there, it says he wills the horse. Aragorn's like 95% dead. He's not willing anything. It's just, so that's quite a miracle that he actually gets back to where he needs to go. But again, I think that I like the bit where obviously Elijah meets Faramir, and he puts the two and two together that he's Boromir's brother. That Faramir is a great Australian actor David Wenham, who actually goes on to play a big role later on in this film, and then obviously in the third film as well. But again, I'm really just waiting for Helm's Deep to kick off now. I just want, we're waiting for Gandalf to come back. We're waiting to know whether he's going to be able to find Eomer. Well, there's so much anticipation for this, as what we've said previously, is that this build to war, that we know that all shit's going to break loose, and not in Elijah's pants though, because he's really hanging on to that. But it's I mentioned an Entmut. Mut's a very interesting word here in Australia. I'm not sure what it's like in North America there, but Mut is a word that is not used enough, I think. And I'd like to try and bring Mut back to the greater society. And, whether it's used in the dungeon, I'm not sure, but an Entmut, just another word for tree meeting. I don't know, but bring it on. Bring on Helm's Deep. We're nearly there. Quato out.
That's true. We're almost there, Quato.
Yeah.
Aston.
Yeah, fun fact, Viggo actually bought that horse in real life from the movie. He actually bought that and took it back to Denmark and stuff before he moved to the States for a while. Kept it in the stable.
Did he use it in Hidalgo?
Could be. I don't know that much about it, but I do know he bought the horse. Yeah, this part is good because it does add. You get some fights. It's building up to what's going to happen next. Personally, I don't like the one problem I had with all three movies is the way they depicted Boromir and Faramir. Because first they made in the extended one he's a lot better in the first movie. They made Boromir was better, but here, for example, Faramir is not like, he's not indecisive in the books. He's not indecisive. He's actually the wiser brother, even though he's the younger brother. And in the extended scene, and I think we do see it, right? He has the flashback of him and his brother, right? When they freed Osligath or something like that. So you see even there that, you know, they made him a bit of a pushover with his dad, where he isn't so much of a pushover in the books. And the way he treated, like kind of bullied, what's his name? Elijah. You know, Elijah Muhammad, our profitable, honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know, Zulu Nation. But anyway, like, I just didn't care for it too much. But again, great actor. Great actor. He did what, you know, the directors told him to do. Personally, I would have liked if it was just a little bit closer to the books, because it's like, what? So it runs in their blood pool. Either you're a maniac who's power hungry, or you're just weak and, you know, you fold. Whereas Faramir isn't the one who folds like that. He doesn't, and he doesn't take these guys nowhere. You know what I mean? It's just not it. But the movie did good. They introduced it well. You see the pain of the brothers. You see like how war, like they're not it's not a foreign concept to them. These people have been dying the whole time while these elves were lounging for the last 100 years. These guys are on the border town having to fight off Canadians like in Canadian bacon and stuff. It's sad. It's sad, man. But yeah, it's great. Like right now, it's like I got goosebumps whenever someone was describing Helm's Deep and we're waiting for that stuff. I'm getting goosebumps because that is like such like I'm just waiting on that. You guys take off, man. I'm sorry, man. Back to you. Sorry.
Cyberneticshark, sir.
Okie dokie. All right. So, you know, I would say that, you know, this sequence, once again, it's kind of more exposition again, kind of give you more story, giving you more of that kind of arc. If I remember correctly, is this the sequence where Aragorn has the conversation about his actual heritage of what kind of man he is? If I remember correctly, is that section?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I believe so.
I absolutely love this when they added it back in with the extended cut. I thought it made the movie even better because learning about what Aragorn really is and that he's, you know, he's not a regular man, but that he's a part of a line that lives a very long time. And I think that was really cool because at this time, if it's accurate, in the books, even they said that Aragorn at this point was, you know, 90 plus years old. So, you know, they live a really long life, this line that he's a part of. And I love that they added this back into the extended cut to give us that knowledge so that you knew that about Aragorn and that he was, you know, something different than what you expected of just a regular man. And hence kind of why I feel, you know, he was in love with an elf. You know, that was one thing I thought was kind of interesting, that he was in love with elf because they live a really long life too as well. So it kind of makes sense that he would be in love with, you know, with Liv Tyler's character, Arwen. And, you know, so I really appreciated that sequence there, giving us that information, stuff like that. And, I'm sorry, where did you go to? I'm sorry. I forgot already. Sir.
I stopped right before the Battle of Helm's Deep starts.
Okay. So the sequence there where he ends up I didn't mention earlier, but I really enjoyed that fight sequence where he ends up going over the edge with the horse. And, you know, before he ends up reappearing at Theoden's castle. I really enjoyed that fight sequence. I thought it was a really great sequence that was really awesome. And I thought that the action in that was really good. I forgot to mention that earlier, but that was a really good sequence. But this whole section leading up to the, you know, to the ultimate battle sequence of this film, which is one of my all-time favorite parts of this film, you know, you get some really great exposition where, like I said, you learn that about Aragorn. You learn more about kind of these characters and, you know, why they think the way they do. And you get, you know, kind of a little more insight into just what, you know, is, you know, causing them to want to fight and to stop this power from becoming the ultimate power. And I think that it's a really great, you know, kind of sequence that leads up to Helm's Deep's main battle, you know, giving you kind of that a little bit of a, I want to say a little bit of a buffer before we get to all that great action. So I think that this sequence was done really well. I thought it was a great portion of the film as well. And I really had no qualms or anything that I thought was bad about it. And I just thought it was a great sequence.
Thank you, Cyber. Ryan.
Yeah, this was a great sequence. I'm definitely looking forward for the Battle of Helm's Deep. With the Boromir-Faramir, number one, it's really hard for me to think of Boromir without thinking of Billy Madison with Borophil. That is the first thing that I always go to whenever I hear that name, and I cannot take his character very seriously. But I was more interested because when you look at the first film, I mean, Boromir, he definitely sacrificed. I mean, he made the choice to help Elijah, but you know, Elijah knows that his brother kind of died just trying to make right what he did wrong. And he was gonna fall victim to circles. Everyone's it's just hot for circles in this movie. So I was really curious to how he was gonna explain that to Faramir, because Elijah and him kind of took that secret to the grave, that like he would kind of spread the word that he went down as an honorable man who redeemed himself in the end. So I was very curious to see the interaction with that. The other thing that is very important, and I think that makes the Battle of Helm's Deep so good, is it all takes place at night. Not just because like it's the Dark Lands and I think you're getting closer to Mount Doom. Orcs had a problem with sunlight, and that's why they made the Uruk-hai, was to make them kind of immune to the sunlight. So this was like prime battle for the orcs. And that's, I think, what made it more terrifying, is that you could tell the army itself was like really amped up. Like they were in definitely like peak position, where the army of men that kind of prefer the sunlight and are scared of, you know, the opposite of the eye. This is frightening for them. They would prefer it to be the other way. But yeah, I mean, I love this sequence, but I'm more excited for what comes next.
Rick.
The little sports team.
Hold on, Rick.
Okay,
First.
there's a program in the UK called Stars in Their Eyes, where normal members of the public go on and dress up and imitate, you know, their favorite iconic stars. So let's see who this woman is going to be.
Και εμείς αποχαιρετούμε τη Μαντό και υποδεχόμαστε τον Stevie Wonder.
What? No. All right. Okay. So you're going to have this white woman turn into a blind black man. You know, really, I just want to see it just because. Really. Let's see. Oh my God. Why would someone do this? She's even pretending to be blind. She's got the assistant, really. Oh my God. This is wrong on so many levels, but it's really. Oh my God. Stevie Wonder. Some people would say this is Karen's gone too far, but I don't even know. I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. They're clapping. Why are they clapping? This is stupid. This is so wrong, but I'm sorry. This is one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen. No. No. This is where you know someone's gone too far. I'm gonna mute it, but let's just see her acting. This is ridiculous. She's going ham.
There you go, Rick. Go ahead.
I don't know how I can follow that, honestly, man. The Legolas horse move, dude. I saw this in the premiere. That was crazy, man. Everyone was like, "What the heck just happened, man? How did he get on that horse?" Like when they're fighting the wargs. But this sequence in the extended cut included. I remember when I bought the extended cut. I remember it was touted as having, I think it was something like 35, 45 extra minutes or whatever. And I was like, where's this time coming from? There was an extra 10 minutes where it showed a flashback with Boromir. And I thought that was super cool because in the previous film, Boromir left off on this like bad guy kind of vibe, you know? So this gave a whole different kind of side of Boromir that you didn't know about from before. He was like, yo, man, I don't even, what do I got to do over there in Rivendell? My place is here in Gondor. Don't send me over there. I don't even want to have nothing to do with that stuff. So I thought that was super cool. And again, it kind of shows a little bit more of Faramir, which was really, really cool. A little side note, I always thought that it was Arwen's elf magic that not only sent Brago, but carried Aragorn to Helm's Deep. That was what my, assumptions always had been. So I don't know if that helps you at all, Matt. I guess it doesn't say that in there, but that was always my assumption. And on the way to the Entmoot, the hobbits are sitting on the Ent, and they see all the Uruks leaving Isengard, and you could hear the marching. And to me, that was a real powerful moment right there, because I was like, dang, man, is this something? Did J.R.R. Tolkien, kind of like see some stuff like that while he was in World War One? You know what I'm saying? That would give that type of, scene, that would give that type of scene to where you not only hear it, but you see it, and there's hordes of these enemies. In this case, they're orcs and stuff like that. But I thought that was super powerful, man. When I saw that this particular time, I've seen this a bunch of times, probably 20, 30 times I've seen this movie. But this particular time, I was really paying attention. I was like, dang, that's so powerful. But yeah, man, you really get to see that Boromir is corrupted by the Band of Power, and that's not like his fault necessarily. And it's kind of good to know, because Faramir begins to realize this near the end of the flick. And that's what I got.
I'm glad you actually brought that up, Rick. Aston, what's your count on this movie? What's your watch count?
Oh, this is the one I've seen the most. Definitely, it's gonna be extended. It's probably gonna be around, I think, 5, and the regular cut, because they used to run it like around New Year's here in Croatia and stuff. So that's probably around 5 and 5 minimum for both of them. And oh yeah, and that clip you played, it's called "Yeah, Your Face Sounds Familiar." They do it in Croatia too, bro. Just Google it. I'll send you all the links you want. You'll get a million clips of black face, Asian face, Latino face, all of it, bro. It's like
hook me up. Hook me up.
I will. I will do it. I will, bro. I will, bro. Like, yeah, I've seen this flick mad times, and it's my favorite in the trilogy because of the Helm's Deep battle. So yeah.
Go ahead, Cyber. Cyber.
I already did this part.
How many watches have you had?
How many watches?
Watches, yes. How many times have you seen the film?
Rolexes, brother.
God, I don't know. I would say probably since it came out in 2002, probably at least a dozen times. probably the theatrical cut was probably maybe 4 or 5 times, and then the rest have been the extended cut since I got the extended cuts. And I usually have like a rewatch of them like every couple years. So yeah, I mean, probably a dozen times or so I've seen him, and every time the movie is just fantastic, and I absolutely love it.
Ryan, what's your watch count?
Probably about 3 to 4 times theatrical, probably like 6, 7 times extended, and then recently all 3 of them because HBO Max has them all lined up right now on the platform.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I'd say probably in total, probably around 15. A bit similar to Ryan, where maybe 4 or 5 the theatrical, and the rest of them being the extended. I think now if you're gonna watch them, you're gonna watch the extended cuts, right? I think that even though they are a big investment, they are way better in the end. I think, even though I think the theatrical versions are great, I think then if you want to dig deeper, you got to watch the extended cuts.
Was this your first watch since we did this over on your channel?
Yeah. Well, we did this at the start of the year, so I've watched it twice this year. So I probably won't watch. I'm a bit the same. I would say probably every 18 months I'd probably sit down and watch the 3 of them from start to finish, back to back over a few days. And then I sort of get that out of my system. And then if they are on cable or something, then I'll catch whatever's on at the time. So 15 times all the way through, I shudder to think if I started to count like I do on Born to Watch, when I just catch smatterings of it for 5 or 6 or 10 minutes, it could be 50 times. Like, where I've caught bits of it and not watched the whole thing. So, yeah.
And Rick, you basically already had. Go ahead, Matt.
If Helm's Deep's on, I'm going to watch it. If I catch it somewhere and it's on, I'm going to end up watching the Battle of Helm's Deep. It's easy.
Most definitely. Rick, you basically already answered this question, didn't you? I think you already said what your watch count was on this.
Yeah, I've seen it probably 20, 30 times.
Okay, so you're a big time watcher of the Two Towers. All right, so the Battle of Helm's Deep begins with a flurry of arrows from the defending archers, cutting down dozens of Urukai. Ceiling ladders are thrown up against the deeping wall, and the Uruks warm up to engage the defenders. At first, the onslaught is stayed by the valor of the Rohirrim and of Aragorn and his companions. Suddenly, 2 crude explosive devices that Saruman created blow up the gutter in the deeping wall, blasting a breach in it. Despite Aragorn and Gimli's best efforts, the Uruks managed to penetrate the main gate, and soon the stronghold is overrun. In the midst of battle, Haldir is slain, and the few remaining elves fall back. In the Hornburg, the Uruks have scaled the walls and have reached the gate, forcing the defenders to retreat into the keep. In Fangorn, Treebeard and the other Ents have decided to not have any involvement in the war, deciding rather to weather such things as they have always done. Despite this, Pippin manages to cleverly take Treebeard to the section of Fangorn that Saruman has recently decimated near Isengard. Treebeard is filled with rage at Saruman's betrayal and commands the other Ents to seek vengeance. The Ents gather and embark upon the last march of the Ents to straight into Isengard itself. Cyber, start us off.
I'm goddamn the fucking Helm's Deep battle is one of the best parts of this fucking film, and it's absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love it. The start of it, the end of it, the middle of it, everything about it is fantastic. And all the orcs that get destroyed, the carnage and everything about it is perfectly done. I love this part too, because this is the part where Legolas and Gimli start keeping tally of how many kills they get, and Gimli starts getting pissed at Legolas because he's like getting more, and he's like, and he tries to start hurrying up to try to kill more than Legolas, and it's absolutely freaking hilarious. At the same time as the action is really done well, and for the time in 2002, a lot of the action that's going on throughout this, is definitely, a lot of, gimbals and rigs and stuff like that to make, them able to do certain moves and stuff like that. and you can definitely tell that they're rigged up a little bit like that and stuff like that. But overall, I think that the digital effects were done really well. And, the battle sequences were really thought out really well, strategically done, and, just really fantastic. And I just think that this scene is just so much fun because this is also the part where we get that one kind of main Urukai, who's kind of like the head orc guy, that he's a little different color. He's a little bigger, and he's definitely could tell that he's kind of like a head honcho type of guy. That's like, pretty much like battle hardened and like really hard to kill and stuff like that, which is a really great, sequence that we get to, enjoy in this battle at Helm's Deep. And also this is where we get to see a whole bunch of new different, creatures that are part of the Tolkien world and stuff like that, which is really fun. And those big ass dudes that they end up bringing, the trolls, are really badass. Those guys are so cool. They were so much fun to battle in the video games that they made for this film, and for the subsequent films too as well. Because they were just like, you imagine watching it on the big ass screen, watching those guys, and then getting to play them in a game. You're just kind of like, this is like so freaking cool. Like, I would absolutely want to have to battle these in real life, almost type of deal. Because I just think that would be like, imagine going into the battlefield, like, say if you were in the army, and instead of being, it being, the reality that we're in, and it's the Lord of the Rings, era, and you're having to battle these giant ass trolls, you'd be like looking up at that shit and be like, yeah, that's scary, but at the same time, that's fucking cool. And it would be so awesome. And I enjoy this sequence so much. It's my favorite part of this damn film. And it just, the battle sequences are done so well in this film. And like watching this on the big screen, it was just so much fun. And rewatching it in 4K, which I think they did a really decent job doing the 4K restoration for this. And on a 4K TV, it looks amazing. It looked absolutely fantastic. The coloring, even the shadowing and the light sources that they use for this sequence on 4K are even more beautifully lit. And I just thought that it was so much fun to rewatch it. It was just really awesome. But Helm's Deep battle is just so awesome, and I absolutely love it.
Okay, Ryan.
Oh yeah, I mean this battle was fantastic. I don't know if it was before or after, but when Theoden just like looks out at the gates and just sees like the troops approaching, and he's like, "So it begins." Like it just sets the entire scene. The other best part about this battle was when I think they breach on the inner core after that bomb goes off, and Aragorn just has like his sword ready, and you just hear him yell "charge," and he just dives head in. Everything about this was just like an ensemble. Everyone's just like, every instrument's going. It's just like an orchestra. Plus, no one really respected elves in like any fantasy movie until you see Legolas pulling like Tarzan down every stone wall that he can in that castle with like 5 arrows, just orcs slaying all the time. The only part I did not enjoy about this scene was with the Ents. Because Treebeard pretty much told him, he's like, yeah, we're not going to do anything. We never have. We don't interfere. But then he gets super pissed off when he's like, well, I'll be damned. I can't believe that they actually chopped down the forest. I don't know if he knew like how buildings get made, but it's generally not just rocks being stacked up. I'm very surprised that like he's like, oh, I didn't think they're going to use wood. And he's like, all right, well, I guess now we'll do something. But otherwise, Helm's Deep. I mean, from the music, the scoring for this, just the lights and everything coming together. I think you look at the whole trilogy, nothing will ever beat how they did these battles. I don't think anyone will ever come close in any fantasy movie to getting this battle in the feel like they did.
Okay. Aston.
Yeah, this was my, I think it's everyone's favorite part of the movie. And for me, like I'm Croatian, so like war isn't something foreign to me. Like I got cousins, I have to go visit graves and stuff like that. So that beginning of the battle where Legolas is like saying, "Oh, what are you doing here? You shouldn't." Nah, bro. Nah, like in history, there's no shades of gray. It's like Stalingrad. It's like all these real life things where it's like we don't have a choice. It's like we fight or we die. We burn the bridges. We don't go nowhere. Like this is it. And the fear, like in the extended cut, you see the fear in all these people. And that's what war is. It's the ultimate sacrifice. Like you get up and you do it. And even though these guys are in makeup, even though these guys are doing wire work like the Matrix, it's like you feel it. You feel it when the right hand of Theoden gets like knocked back by the Uruk when they breach, like all of that. It's all very believable for most of the fights and the choreographies. Like I'm glad they didn't have Gimli doing Matrix stuff, running across the walls and stuff like that. But it was like, I get goosebumps. In like, because to me, it's like it's on par with like Saving Private Ryan when they're storming the beach. Like I get those sort of goosebumps because I'm like, yeah, people have done this in history. Like this was real. Maybe not with orcs and stuff, but the magnitude and like the way they just fall back and these guys are like scrambling over them and it's like you see them losing. Like you're there watching and it's like, and this is it. It's like hold out the 4 days. 4 days. Like, that whole thing is like, just like our buddy Matt said, like I see that on TV, I'm watching it again and again and again. And it just rings true. Like we had to fight the Turks, bro, out here. So it's like, we really that's why they shot Game of Thrones out here. That's why I was an extra out here. Like, bro, we got the castles, bro. We got the wars. We got all that. So when I see that, I just get taken back to like real medieval conflicts where it's like, you're not just facing one enemy, you're facing an immovable force that is right at your gate. And are you going to run, cower? And of course, there's that one vulnerability which they didn't cover up. And it's like they overlooked that one part, and that was the fall, the hubris of it. Even though he was told, like, don't go. Like Gandalf was like, bro, don't do it. Like, maybe that's not the best way. Maybe we should like hold the line. And he tried to play it safe, and this is what happens, and it's heavy. It's a heavy scene for me, best scene of the movie. And yeah, there goes a little bit of that Slavic lore I just expounded. Back to you in the studio, Jeff.
All right, Matthew.
Yeah, it's no doubt this is the high watermark of the movie. It could probably be the high watermark of the trilogy, and Helm's Deep could possibly be the high watermark for battle scenes, fantasy battle scenes. I think you make a really good point about the obviously Saving Private Ryan. So let's just move that to the side because that's real. But we talk about fantasy battle scenes. I think you look at movies like Braveheart now and how much that has aged. And that's only probably 10 years before this movie came out, or 6 years before this movie came out. And it's so much difference. You can see in the background there's extras that are just bored and they're just sort of touching each other. This is everyone. I know a lot of it is CGI, but everyone is playing their role, and it is 100%. And it's so realistic. The passion and that want to survive and that want to take that inch. It's so obvious in every scene here. The thing that is super surprising is, and we've spoken just tonight, is that about how dumb that we've called the Uruk-hai are not that bright, and they've played them for being stupid. They got some fucking serious strategy in this battle, right? Serious strategy, and they've got that ace up the sleeve with the bombs that. Look, I've seen Kung Fu Panda 2, and I thought the Chinese developed gunpowder, but obviously it was Saruman, who developed the gunpowder. But that bit where they place the bombs and they don't know, like we don't know as the goodies, essentially don't really know what's going on until we then see the sea part with the Uruk-hai running lit up, ready to light the bomb, is just one of the best scenes. It's an incredible piece of cinema, Helm's Deep. It is, I'm a bit like Aston. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it and talking about it now. And it is by far, I don't think I agree with Ryan here. I'm a bit of an agree guy today that it's unparalleled, and I don't think it can be beaten. The fact that it's set at night, the fact that it's lit so well, everyone gets their piece of the pie, and that's what Peter Jackson did the whole way through this trilogy. Is that he just didn't focus on one person and make the story their story. Everyone, even bit players, get their piece and get their chance to shine. I think in this battle especially, there's 10 or 12 people that you're focusing on that get a narrative in this battle. So incredible part. It's about to probably get a little bit better in the next part that we talk about, but yeah, amazing.
Rick.
One thing I think was super integral to making all this that good is what you guys are saying is the theme that we have going on right here, which kind of started moments before the battle actually began, which you had in the armory. You had a really tense exchange of dread and despair about whether or not they're going to be able to make it through this battle. They were like, no, man, we're all going to die. And they even talked about Theoden's like, to whatever end, and Gamling's like, yeah, man, to whatever end. And because of that, I mean, dude, I got mad respect for all soldiers everywhere of all time, because they do these things. And everyone's got different armies of different sides and stuff, but the people who fight in the wars, the people who are fighting the battles, they're doing what they're supposed to do, whatever nationality they're from. And you kind of really see that in here, because they know, like, there's no chance. We got no chance. We're not going to make it through this battle, but they're going to do it anyways. And then right before the battle begins, the elves show up, and then you get this, it's like a juxtaposition of hope and despair. Ryan was talking about a moment ago about how it was nighttime, and you're like, oh my God, man, this is terrible. But it gets worse because it's raining. I don't know if you guys thought about that, but that's like, I would not want to do a battle in the rain, bro. Not against these Uruks, not in the nighttime, not in the situation. You're totally outnumbered. It's like everything's so bad, but there's still that sliver of hope, So I thought that was, for me, the really drawing thing for the whole entire sequence. But also, there was a few times when they even clipped to the women and children inside the Helm's Deep to remind you what's at stake. So I thought that was really, really powerful for me. And a bit of comic relief in the whole thing was when they're about to patch up the door to the Hornburg. So Aragorn and Gimli are about to jump in front of a bunch of orcs. And look, Gimli's not worried about dying. He's not worried about falling 50 feet to his death. He's worried about Aragorn telling the elf. For me, I was like, dang, bro, like, that is just so funny. That's just so funny. He's like, don't tell the elf. And he's like, not a word. So I thought that was cool, man. To add that into all of this, it kind of definitely did something for me. And that's all.
Okay. Meanwhile, as Theoden despairs in the besieged keep, Aragorn refuses to give in, and remembering Gandalf's words before they left Edoras, takes Theoden, Legolas, and the remaining Rohirrim on one last gallant ride to attack the Uruk-hai army in a desperate bid to allow the Rohirrim's women and children to escape into the mountains. The riders storm out of the keep and cut their way through the fortress gate. As the riders emerge into the mass of Uruks, the first rays of dawn fall down into the valley, and upon the eastern hill, Gandalf appears, accompanied by Eomer and his men. They rush down into the body of the stunned Uruks and rout them. The terrified Uruk-hai flee into Fangorn, where the Ents and their Huarn allies swiftly exact retribution. Meanwhile, the Ents are take control of Isengard. They destroy the remaining Uruk-hai population and release the dam placed upon the river Isen, which gushes forth into the plains around Orthanc, drowning the surviving orc defenders, quenching the fires of its industry, and flooding Isengard and stranding Saruman in his tower. I'll stop there. I'll start with you, Matt. Thoughts on that section of the film?
Well, it's the cum shot, right? It's what we've been edged for 3.5 hours to this point. And it's the finish. It's what we want. It's the perfect end. We know Gandalf. We're hoping Gandalf's going to get there in time, and he does. He comes down, and if the guys had just stayed, a little bit more patient and trusted that Gandalf would be back, then all would be okay. And he just them at the watching him come to the top of the mountain and them seeing him and then them just come over the top of the mountain and just start to clean house is just incredible. It's worth the wait. And then knowing that it actually then it's actually sort of over before it began as well. Like it's almost like the Urukai quit. It's that they can't compete, and then there's this. We've been built up to this end, and we get to this point, and then it's over very quickly because this is only a battle. This isn't the war. Like there's still the war to rage, and this is only just one battle. And I think that it's really clever how they do that. That because both sides have still got more ahead of them, and I think that it's good to see then that they break the dam and they're really fucking every part of their attack and future attacks as well. So it's a really satisfying conclusion before, unfortunately, we're then going to go and meet constipated Elijah towards the end. But I like this is effectively the spiritual end of this movie, that the Battle of Helm's Deep is won, and now we're just waiting for the third film. I think it's just a great finish.
Okay. Aston.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to be an agreeer with our buddy over there from Down Under. For real, it's that charge, everything. Like we got to get the women and children out. You're there rooting, like it's a movie. No matter how many times I've seen it, it always gets me in the feels, like that the display of courage and facing like the foes and the way they did it, and thankfully they do win and stuff. And just even that scene after they win, like you see, like what did we win? Like there's thousands of people here dead, chopped up, and I like that they didn't shy away from that. They didn't make it like, oh, Arthur, and we found a sword and everything's okay, hunky dory. It's like, nah, like this is the sacrifice. Even Legolas, like the weird ass, elf in his little stoic way of looking at things. Even you see him, he's affected by it. And Aragorn, the leader, like you see the foreshadowing of this guy does have leadership skills. He has just led. He led. Like there was no one else here. It was really him putting himself in danger, jumping into that huge horde of them over the wall, like just sacrificing himself every time. And it's not like he's doomed to die. He could have just walked away, but he stayed there. And when the light does come in, and you see that they did hold out, they did last that fourth night, and just amazing. And yeah, you immediately know that we're going to Elijah. And I mean, he has Rudy, bro. How'd you not listen to Rudy? Just explain that part to me, bro. Just explain that part to me. Like, I'm just wondering. That's it for me. Like, because I loved Helm's Deep, and the conclusion was really well done. And yeah, I mean, I don't see how they say it's for all audiences when I see these trailers, because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't let my 10-year-old kid watch this, or 11-year-old, like maybe 13, 14, but anything earlier than that, he gonna start asking some goofy questions. You got some explaining to do. But hey, that's me.
Rick.
Yeah, Matt and Aston pretty much nailed that, like for sure. The ride out was super epic. There was a quote that just rings in my head forever. It's one of the coolest quotes in this sequence that you just laid out for us, and that is the "Release the river." It's just like, dang, bro, and like you could imagine, he's got like 1,000 orcs that are straight up drowning inside the little caverns that they dug out. That's just so cool, man. And by the way, once again, Pippin for the win. You know what I'm saying? Whose idea was it to go south? Pippin's idea, changing the course of history. And that's it. I don't want to go. That's all I got.
Okay, Cyber.
Great sequence. I mean, really, pretty much everyone has kind of mentioned how this plays out, and like how interesting and how just, pivotal and graphic it was, and how they didn't shy away from anything. And, most definitely, this was a really good, like, hard PG-13 film. And the extended cut definitely is even harder. I think you could almost go R with it at some points with some of the things, especially with some of the orc killings and stuff like that. But at the same time, this whole sequence was, done really well, giving us that, let the water go and the drowning of the orcs and stuff like that was just really, I thought, really cool and a really clever idea to do, especially, with, how many orcs there were. And it just seems to me like this is just another great portion of the Helm's Deep battle that just helps extend the awesomeness of what that Helm Deep battle was. Definitely by this point, it's nowhere as climactic, but at the same time, I think that it's a good conclusion to that battle, helping them escape and get to where they need to go in order to recharge and, make way for the next battle. And I think that it just was really well executed, and I thought it was just a decent sequence in this movie.
Okay, Ryan?
Yeah. I think everyone's kind of mentioned a lot, but the best part of the Helm's Deep battle is when they remember, and you hear that, like, that voiceover by Ian McKellen who says, look for my coming on the first light of the 5th day at dawn, look to the east. And, like, there he is. He brings up the magic. And again, as I said before, orcs were kind of afraid of light. The Uruk-hai, not so much, but with all of his magic, and it's almost like the light cleansing the evil. When they kind of go to that stunned, almost burned look on their skin, and then everyone just starts riding through, just chopping them to pieces without any slowing down. The part that I did like the most was with the Ents, though, because the other wizard kind of almost made fun of the army of the men. Is like, yeah, I'm gonna blast open their fortress. I got bombs now. They think that they're tough. He had no idea that, what would I do if these trees did kind of rise up and I didn't take care of them? He made fun of them for having, like, a weakness. He did not check that if they through this dam, I am going to get waterboarded in my tower with nowhere to go. And he felt the wrath of that. So I just found it an interesting parallel between the two, that he would cast the stone but not look back on his own house. But yeah, this was, like, probably one of the best climaxes as everything kind of gets settled out.
Matthew?
Yeah, mate, I did my bit at the start about the Battle of Helm's Deep. You want me to go? I can go again if you want.
This is the end. This is the end.
Oh, the end. Yeah. Look, I'm out after Helm's Deep. We're going back to.
This is the end of the battle. The end of the battle.
Oh, the end of the battle. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yes.
The Helm's Deep is amazing. Love it. I said a whole heap before about it. Love it.
Okay. All right. Away to the east, Faramir has had Mr. F, Sam, and Gollum taken to Osgiliath, a ruined city on the banks of the river Anduin between Mordor and Gondor. Oh, drink. Cheers. Where there is a ring wraith, again on a winged beast. With the help of Sam and Faramir, Mr. F narrowly escapes the ring wraith's efforts to capture him, and the circular object, starts with the R, if nearly cost Sam's life during the scenario. An inspired monologue as he watches the ring wraith fly off, and as victory seeds from the two battles are seen, Sam reflects on the state he and Mr. F are in, and how their story may yet come to have a happy ending. Mr. F is doubtful of this, but Sam insists that they must still hold on to what they are fighting for, each other, in the fulfillment of their quest. Approaching them from the throes of battle, Faramir overhears them and realizes these unassuming hobbits have a high doom before them, which he can no longer hope to interrupt. He sets them free and helps them on their way. As the Battle of Helm's Deep, Gandalf and the others ride up on horseback and gaze towards Mordor. and now know inevitable things have been set in motion. As Gandalf puts it, the battle of Helm's Deep is over. The battle for Middle-earth is about to begin. He remarks that hope now rests with Mr. F and Sam, who will resume their journey to Mordor with Gollum. Feeling betrayed by Frodo when he delivered him into the hands of Faramir's men, Gollum's darker self reemerges, and he decides to reclaim the circular object, such as the R, by secretly leading Mr. F and Sam to a creature he refers to only as her, which Gollum's lighter self reluctantly agrees to and leads the hobbits on through the woods as Mordor is seen in the distance. Stop there. Go to you, Matt. Finish this up.
Yeah, it's a good finish. We know what's happening now. We know that we're moving on, and it's going to be Elijah and Sam's third chapter, essentially, and the walk into hell. Again, we see just how big a tool Elijah is. How Sam puts up with his shit for so long is beyond me. I just would have left him and said, mate, deal with it yourself, and it would have all been over. I do love the last bit where it's Gollum and he's talking to himself when he says that we're going to lead them to her, and for people that don't know what the trap is, I think that's a really good little crumb to leave at the end. But you're sort of catching your breath after Helm's Deep, and it's just a good, okay, settle it down. We've now got to set up Return of the King and just refocus and say that, we know that the movie is going to be, the next chapter of the trilogy is going to be Elijah Wood's chapter. And I think it's just a good way to set that up, that we refocus after the hell that was Helm's Deep. We just refocus it on them, which is disappointing because they're my least interested parties of the Fellowship, but it has to be that way. And then we're out and we're ready for Return of the King.
Rick.
Sorry, I was muted.
You
Ryan,
you can
see.
Want to go? Go ahead, Rick.
I'm good. So you can really see that Mr. Baggins is cooked right here. He basically is handing the Band of Power to the Witch King, nearly. And then he don't even know who Sam is. He's about to cut Sam down and stuff. So basically you can see that the Band of Power has so corrupted him that he at times can't even control himself. And it's really Sam as well as Gollum, actually, that are carrying Mr. Baggins forward, especially in the next flick. Because if you remember, at the very beginning of this one, Gollum made a promise on the Band of Power to not cross Mr. Baggins. So because of that, he cannot outright kill him. Basically, he's bringing him forward, hoping, maybe a little bit more than hoping, that something bad would happen to Mr. Baggins. And it's a really interesting dilemma that presents itself. That's what I got.
Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, this was a great finale. I think what we had seen from Gollum so far, it was really childish, and we can see like he was denatured by the ring. You could see like the corruption, like what it did to him. But you never really understood like what made him so like lurking in that presence that they were detecting, until you started hearing that kind of bipolar discussion between himself and like submitting to his own self to like the higher, like the better personality, the stronger personality. And that's kind of like, I think that's where most of the creepiness comes in with Gollum, because when you see him crying about like getting pushed in the pot, like a puddle by Sam, you're like, this is, I hope kind of like all like him and Elijah both get killed right away. And Orc takes them and they just shish kebab them right away. But like towards the end, like you could see like there is a lot of malevolence from that corruption, and I think that shows a lot better with Gollum towards the end.
Okay. Cyberneticshark.
So this is a great conclusion to the film. You get a little more exposition to take you out to get you ready for the next film, and and as most people have realized, these three films were all meant to be kind of one book, kind of, and one movie. Technically, if you think about it, with how they are put together, Peter Jackson definitely wanted to, make a 8,000 hour long film. And he definitely had so much material that he could work with these three books and could make so many different things. And of course, they don't always follow every single thing from the books. They change some things up for cinematic value and stuff like that. And, this ending portion kind of, which is, if you think about it, it's kind of not completely the ending of the Two Towers book. It's a little bit, they took a little bit from Return of the King to add that to be able to get it ready to really proceed into Return of the King when it came out the following year. And so I think that this sequence is a really great kind of nod to, Return of the King, and finding out right at the end that, that great Gollum sequence where he's talking about leaving them for her. You're like, ooh, like if you had read Return of the King, you knew who they were talking about. But if you hadn't, you had really no idea who this her was. You could be, skeptical. You could think like, oh, it could be this person. It could be this, like who are they talking about? And Sheila is such a great character, which I can't wait to talk about her in the next film. But knowing that character was coming up, I was just like so excited at the end of this film. Every time I've watched it, like knowing that I get to see that giant spider, which is a great character, and I'm a big horror monster movie fan, and I love those B classic, animal killer movies, like Empire of the Ants and Kingdom of the Spiders and stuff like that. So finding out that there was gonna be a giant ass spider coming up, I was like psyched as shit. And so finding that out and Gollum leaving that kind of little tidbit, that little breadcrumb at the end of the film, which is so fun. And just like I think it was you, Matt, that said how Sam put up with Mr. Epps' shit this whole time. I agree, because if you think about it, he really Mr. F through this whole entire saga, through the first film, through the second film, he truly is such a whiny little bitch. And it's like I understand you're dealing with this, ring that has all this power, but still at the same time, do you think you could pull it up a little bit and be a little more man, please? Like just a tad bit, just a little bit, not be such a whiny little dude. And so it's kind of like, Sam really is kind of the hero of these books. And I've had a few people mention this before, how they feel Sam really is the real hero of the whole trilogy or of the books. He's the one that really, he was steadfast through everything. He, even if he didn't have to hold the ring or wear the ring and be the bearer, he still was always the steadfast about that.
Yeah, J.R.R. Tolkien's character is Sam.
Yeah. So this ending is very well done. A great way leading into, like I said, the third film. And I think overall it just was a really fantastic ending. And giant shout out to Sam, because he just was the MVP of the film. And more awkward silence from Jeff.
Do you think there was a way to play? Do you think there was a way that they could have, that Elijah Wood could have played his character and not been such a whiny bitch? Like it's an interesting choice that he makes.
I think he could have played it differently.
Yeah, I think he could have. I also think he could have, because even in the books, for example, Merry and Pippin, they made them like these hapless guys straggling, when in fact in the book they actually plotted joining the quest without being invited. They take time to plan to follow them into the quest, and they just infantilized them it infantilized them, and they could have done it. I'm not saying make him like a square jawed Brad Pitt who's Diesel and shit, but at least don't have him like keep going at the one guy who has never let him down for like the last 8 hours. Like, can you not do it to him? And the way he just trusted Golem, it was like in the book there was more back and forth because Gollum isn't that dumb.
It's your turn anyway, Aston.
Oh, sorry. Okay, then I'll keep going. When it comes to the deterioration, I feel that part was shown well, but it's like I feel they just kept going back to the same scene. It's like, come on, man up, bro. Like the whole world depends on you. You're taking deuces on your friend. Faramir gave you the pass. Like instead of him being like really grateful that this guy gave him the pass and been like, okay, I understand what you said and everything. Like they set it up great. The ending to me, the conclusion is good because it's not a cliffhanger, but it's enough for you to be like, I cannot wait for this next movie. It's enough for you to reserve, like pre-order the tickets. And I was kind of sad walking into the theater for the third one because that kept ringing in the back of my head because everybody watched the movie before they went to watch the third movie. And it just, that ending, like especially the foreshadowing of the booby trap that Cybershark mentioned, like that part was amazing because all of us who read the book were like, oh shit, thought they were going to cut this out. And see, the one scene I didn't touch on was when the trees tried to eat Merry and Pippin. That's where Bombadil's supposed to show up. So like when people say, oh, they couldn't have put him in, I'm like, bro, you could have put him in. You even used the words verbatim that the guy told when Gandalf told the tree to like chill out and stuff like that. Verbatim, what Bombadil said, like from the book. So yeah, great conclusion. Leaves you on a semi cliffhanger, and you do get the development is progressed for all of the characters, the entire Fellowship. Like they've all moved at least everyone moved like let's say a few paces forward, whereas Frodo is like in half an inch, But all in all, great development moving the story forward.
Aston, go ahead and give us your rating for the movie.
Ooh, I'm definitely gonna give this one. It's gonna get a 9 out of 10. It has to get a 9 out of 10. It's hard for me to give it a 10 out of 10, but a 9 out of 10, and definitely it's a 9 out of 10. It's close to perfection.
Well, I didn't drop this when I was on board to watch, but I'm gonna drop a 10 out of 10 on the film. Cyber.
I give it a solid 10 out of 10. This is my favorite of the trilogy, and it's because of the Battle of Helm's Deep. That sequence was just so awesome and fun. And this was actually the first one I saw in theaters. I hadn't seen Fellowship in theaters, but I did see Return of the King and Two Towers in theaters. But yeah, this one is definitely a giant 10 out of 10. I just think it's an epic, great film, and even a huger 10 out of 10 with the extended cut, because there's so much they added that just made the film even better, and gave you more great knowledge that made the film even more thought-provoking. So yeah, giant 10 out of 10.
I did not see any of the films in theater. I was really too busy for the most part for the first two films, like going to frat parties and bagging sorority chicks and shit like that. Ryan.
For sure. 10 out of 10. If I wish that we gotten to see the extended cut in theater, but I had already been there in the theater long enough. Big shout out to Peter Jackson, who got into an argument with Harvey Weinstein and like made him a copy of his head, I think, to be one of the orcs as like the ugliest that he liked because he was so pissed off at like one of the comments he made. This movie, I mean, Helm's Deep saves that movie. Just watching Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas go to battle. I mean, that was the best part of pretty much all the movies. Plus, the first movie ended. You walked out of the theater and you just lost Gandalf. The whole Fellowship got broken up after they just formed. Everyone took a loss that day. At least when you walked out of this movie, you at least ended up neutral.
Matthew?
Jeff, I think that when we did this movie earlier in the year, I gave this movie 8.5 tossable dwarves on the rank bank for for Born to Watch. Now, I watched that was not watching the extended cut. I'm going to go up. I'm going to give it 9 out of 10 tossable dwarfs. And it's almost, I could give it more, but for Elijah Wood, he annoys me. I take at least a point off because of him. So what could be a 10 comes down to a 9 tossable dwarves for the Two Towers.
Rick?
I'm going to go ahead and give it 9.5. And I'm going to actually slightly disagree with Matt as far as Elijah Wood goes. And here's why. Here's why. While I do think that Elijah Wood could have played Mr. Baggins slightly different, I think that it's somewhat intentional that he is losing himself and losing his identity to the to the Band of Power. And because you see it in Theoden early on in this film, he's like nothing. He shows no emotion. He's just sitting there. He's glum. He's old, and he looks like terrible. And you actually see that in Elijah Wood's makeup near the end and into the next film. So I think that's somewhat intentional by someone, whether it be Elijah Wood or director or something like that. But maybe it could have been different, but it worked for me because it just told me the effects of the ring. Dang, man.
Jeez.
All right, well, I'm gonna stop. 9.5.
Okay. Our review of The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Oh, Drake is over. I am sliding over to plugs. Starting off with Dungeon Master himself.
What's up, guys? Sure, yeah. Pull up. I have that. Basically, my channel is a gaming channel, actually, and I do games like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring. I'm about to start to do some Salt and Sanctuary. I don't know if anyone even knows that game. It's a super duper cool game. I got some tactical RPGs. I do a lot of pretty much tutorials, informational videos on how to play and how to, get yourself situated in games and whatnot. So if you're interested in any of these games, definitely come to my channel and check it out, and you can learn a couple things.
You should set up the Dungeon Cam.
What's that?
Set up the Dungeon Cam, bro. You could be the first YouTuber to have a Dungeon Cam.
And also, I don't know if it's possible. Could we also potentially link MAM reviews? Because I also do a lot of reviews, middle-age movie reviews, podcast on YouTube and Spotify and a bunch of other things. So I don't know if we could give them a shout out too. Because like I said, I do a lot of reviews with them too, a lot of movie reviews from the 1001 movies to watch before you die.
Sorry, Rick.
No, we're good, man. We're good. Figured I'd give them a shout out too.
Clerks, classic, bro. Classic flick. You guys got great taste.
Yeah, man. There was I think Jeff and Cyber were on that one. Bunch of other people. That was a really big panel for that one. Very good. Yeah, we just dropped 3 Kings. So super cool. Blazing Saddles, man.
I'm on that one.
So if you're interested in any of those super hot movies from current to back in the day, check it out. We're gonna be dropping the African Queen, I think, in a week or two. So that's another movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that one.
Bogart, baby, Bogart.
I'll be on Big Lebowski in 3 days.
Yes.
Okay. Moving forward. Ryan.
Yes, you
Beyond
can
the
find
Cape.
us. Yep, Beyond the Cape. You can find us on Instagram, so on YouTube, You can get us on Spotify, iTunes. We put our podcast is everywhere. We do a lot of interviewing of independent comic book writers, some big names, Jason Fabic, Matt Kint, who did Berserker with Keanu Reeves. We talk about, we've had Jeff on the show. We get everyone's this information about, how they got to where they're at, how they started in comic books, where they're at now, and some of the projects that they're putting out. We'll be covering San Diego Comic-Con coming up here.
I wasn't done with you, brother. I was pull up your YouTube channel.
Yeah, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. You can find us. You just put in Beyond the Cape. We will show up somewhere.
That's a cool name, by the way, bro.
Okay.
That's one of the
Sorry about
coolest
Wi-Fi
titles
tonight,
for
y'all.
comic book stuff.
Thank
It
God
is a
for
dope
AI
title. I like it
generators.
too. Cybernetic sir.
Okie dokie, choky. All right, folks. If you are familiar with the MCU's Bleeding Edge, you have probably seen me moderate or be on the panel here. If you enjoy me on either way, you can go check me out on YouTube, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, Patreon, pretty much anywhere. As you can see here, my most recent video there is the trailer reaction to the upcoming Mark Wahlberg film, Flight Risk, which is actually Mel Gibson's first directorial debut in quite a while. He directed it. It's got 3 whole actors in the whole film, and it's on a plane. And you should definitely check that trailer out if you have not seen it. It looks like it's going to be a really great film. Classic there. And then, of course, if you haven't seen A Quiet Place Day 1 yet, you can check out that review. Definitely we'll be having some more reviews and trailers up for you guys soon. You'll be seeing eventually the Long Legs full-length review, and along with Twisters and other films and so forth. Deadpool and Wolverine will be up eventually here too within the next week or so. Going to see it again on Sunday. So I want to get a couple in before I do my full review on it, because make sure I grab all the goodies and stuff that were in it. But if you have not seen Deadpool and Wolverine yet, go check it out, people. The MCU's back, bitches. Anyways, as you can see there, my most recent was Deadpool and Wolverine, as you can see on my mini shorts there. And you'll be, seeing new stuff coming up soon. So keep your eyes out, keep on subscribing, and keep on watching.
Okay. Aston. What do I pull
Hey,
up here, brother? Let's see.
No worries. Basically, I'm in the process of launching a couple of new websites for my upcoming podcasts and shows. But for now, just check out Aston Mike Delgado on Instagram. You can see some clips from me in the studio, because I'm a rapper, coolest rap nerd to ever exist. I'll fight anyone over it, Lupe Fiasco included. So yeah, take a look at that sexy guy. That's me. Yes. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Jeff. You're giving me points right now. I love it, man. So yeah, I got a record coming out in September. So if any of y'all like smooth rap and Slavic suave, I'm there. I'm there for you. So yeah, Aston Mike Delgado, Instagram, Facebook, and the website www.astonmike.com. So please do check me out. And I just got to say, shout out to Middle-Aged Tim. I saw him in the comments. I want to say thank you once again to Cyberneticshark and my boy Jeff Sloboda, man. Like, you guys are awesome. Okay. Thank you guys for letting me be part of all this. Shout out to Matt, mad love. Rick, I got love for you, bro. I'm going to invite you when I do Temple of Elemental Evil. I would love to have you come on board.
Oh, yeah, brother.
Yeah, definitely, bro. And I'm gonna have Jeff in there, but he's gonna die in the first dungeon. So we're gonna make like 1 million characters for this guy, because he's gonna try to sleep with everybody. He's gonna try to kill everybody and rob everybody. And this is true, Jeff. Don't get all serious, stone faced on me. You like this, bro. That's just how you is, bro. I got nothing but love. Thank you, guys. Shout out to all the fans of the MCU Bleeding Edge. You guys are awesome. This has been awesome, except for the awkward pauses, like I was at my cousin's wedding. But it was fun. It was fun, man. Thank you guys so much.
Matthew, Bored to Watch. What's up?
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone who's involved in today's review. It was great to meet some of you for the first time and some of you for the manyth time. Born to Watch, available on all good podcast platforms and also slowly drip feeding onto YouTube, where if you think I sound sexy, you can confirm that I'm not by seeing my face on video. Aston said that he's Slavic suave. Well, I'd like to think I'm Vegemite chic. So it's, that's what we get down here, down under. Look, we've got a bit coming on. Now, Rick, are you joining us in a few weeks with Middle-Aged?
Oh man, I'm so excited for that one. Yes.
Okay, so we've got a collab coming in a couple of weeks with the Middle-Aged movie podcast for the Princess Bride, which was chosen by them, not us, and it should be very, very interesting to see how that one goes down. We're going to have a lot of fun. Looking forward to that one, and if you love movies not taken too seriously, then check out Born to Watch, where meat is always on the menu.
I can't wait to see
meat.
Oh, brother!
I'm Born to Watch.
Seriously,
meat
Jeff,
time.
you gotta put that little clip onto a short, bro. You really do.
Meat's back on the menu, boys.
Good for you, Rick. All right, folks, we're out of here. Meat is on the menu, and we're going to bed. We are tired. It has been a long night. Lord of the Rings 2 Towers. Peace. We'll see you later.
Hey, yo, Jay, can we get some ratchet one time?
Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal